If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 21, Chapter 20 Counseling. Teaching. The bell for fourth period rang. Along with it, came the migration of the exhausted masses from class. Essays due Monday. Mrs. Nakamura called. And Mr. Akutami, her eyes sharpened onto Yuta, report to the guidance counselor's office. Yuta frozen for a moment. What? The school has booked you for mandatory counseling based on your accident. But... Counselor's office. Now. The class collectively made a new sound. Shut up, Mrs. Nakamura said without looking at them. Then to Yuta, the counselor is waiting in counseling room 3. Don't keep him. Yes ma'am. Several students snorted. Yuta closed his notebook slowly. Very slowly. Yo, Yuta. Hana appeared at his desk, holding something. His textbook. Someone returned this during lunch a few days ago, she said, setting it down. Hero course girl. Pink skin, yellow eyes. Said it belonged to a Yuta Akutami. Kimura leaned on the desk. We were betting you lost it. Yuta sighed. Just my luck. How did you lose this one? I didn't lose it. It just got away from me. He replied, taking the book. Hana raised an eyebrow. Textbooks usually don't run. I'm aware. She smirked but let it go. We're grabbing ramen at the station after school, she said. You coming? Kimura nodded. Yeah, man. Celebrate you surviving the odds. Yuta's face darkened. You make it sound like I have a deadly disease. It's not our fault you won't tell us what happened. We can only speculate. Truth be told, the boy wasn't far off on the celebration. Defeating Overhaul truly was a fear worth celebrating. However, Yuta sighed. I can't. I have to head home. Ooh, because you're grounded, he deadpanned. Immediate sympathy. Tanaka placed a hand over his heart. We grieve with you. Be strong, Hana added. Send us a signal if you escape, Kimura nodded solemnly. Yuta slung his bag over his shoulder. Rain check. Rain check. He walked out of the classroom. Yuta walked out of the classroom, the door sliding shut behind him with the soft whump of academic doom. Mandatory counseling. He exhaled through his nose. Of course UA wouldn't just let him walk it off. He did get folded like a human omelette and hospitalized for a week. It made sense. Still. Did they really have to book it without asking him first? He adjusted his bag and headed down the hallway. Counseling room 3. Counseling room 3. As he walked, his brain traitor that it was began spiraling. Counseling. At UA. Which meant midnight. Because who else, right? The R-rated hero was the wellness teacher, the conflict mediator, the staff member who did mental health evaluations for hero course students. She'd lectured enough about emotional vulnerability in assemblies to make half the first years fear eye contact. Yuta gulped. Man. How am I supposed to talk about trauma with someone who shows up dressed like that? He rubbed his temples. Hopefully it wouldn't be too awkward. Hopefully she'd be professional. Hopefully she wouldn't ask him to sensually express his feelings in a journal or something. Yuta approached the frosted glass door marked Counseling Room 3. Okay. Midnight. You got this. Just breathe. Pretend it's normal. Nothing weird will happen. You are still a minor after all. He knocked lightly. A deep, calm voice answered from inside. Come in. Yuta froze. Wait, that's not midnight. He slowly pushed the door open. Inside, behind a large desk, sat a hulking figure. Broad shoulders, muscular frame, ears perked on top of his head, tail resting lazily. He gave Yuta a measured look. Yuta stumbled slightly, trying to collect his thoughts. Hello. I'm Yuta Akutami. The figure smiled faintly, voice calm and steady. Yup. That's you. Have a seat. Yuta blinked. And blinked again. This wasn't midnight. This was Hound Dog? Is the counselor? Wasn't the counselor supposed to be? He paused as something clicked. Earlier, Mrs. Nakamura had mentioned him when referring to the counselor. He just didn't notice at the time. Well, that was unexpected. He stepped in cautiously, bag clutched to his chest. Hound Dog gestured toward the chair across from him. Sit down. Don't worry, I don't bite unless you try anything funny. Right. Of course. Hound Dog leaned back, resting his arms on the desk. So, you're here because the school thinks you might have trauma issues after your little incident. Yuta shifted in his seat, cheeks heating. Little incident? That's one way to put it. Hound Dog steepled his fingers. Tell me how you're feeling. No tricks, no I'm fine lies. You're 15, you were nearly killed by a villain. Your body was torn apart. That's a lot to process. Yuta exhaled slowly, trying to calm the fluttering in his chest. Torn apart. Yep, that's accurate. I mean, I'm okay. I guess. I didn't exactly die or anything. And people helped. So. He trailed off. Hound Dog gave a low hum. Helping doesn't erase the stress. Seeing danger up close, thinking you might not make it, that sticks. Even if no one else saw it. I guess it's just weird, he muttered. Everyone who knows keeps acting like I should be a mess. But I'm not. I don't know if that makes me fine or if it makes me broken in a different way. Hound Dog nodded slowly. Normal reaction. It is. Yep. He tapped the desk twice. Trauma isn't a one-size thing. Some kids shut down. Some kids cry. Some kids joke. Some kids feel nothing for a while and then panic later, usually in the shower or while eating cereal. Everyone is different. You can't expect everyone to act the same way. That's oddly specific. I've worked here a long time. Hound Dog waved a paw. Point is you're not abnormal for not falling apart immediately. Shock, adrenaline, and teenage stupidity go a long way. I feel like that was partially an insult. It was. They sat in silence for a moment. Hound Dog leaned forward. Let me ask you something. In that situation? How did you feel? Honestly? I would say despair. Is that so? Pretty much. He nodded. Nothing I thought of worked. I wasn't even trying to fight. I was just trying to escape, yet even that didn't work out. It was frustrating. I can imagine. Though you kept trying. Well. Yet. There was a kid at stake. Good. The pro-hero nodded. That's a sign your brain was prioritizing. Protecting someone can override fear. Makes you focus on something outside yourself. It's healthy, until it isn't. Until it isn't. Let me ask you something. Do you understand how lucky you are to be alive? Yet. Do you understand that most people in your situation wouldn't have survived? Yet. Do you understand that what you did fighting a villain alone, without backup could have gotten you killed? Yuta's jaw tightened. Yet. Hound Dog nodded slowly. Good. Because I need you to understand the consequences of what could have happened. He picked up her clipboard and flipped a page. If you had died, your mother would have lost her son. Your friends would have lost a classmate. And you would have lost a student. While the girl in question would have still been taken away. Nothing would be gained, but your life would be lost. Silence filled the rock. Kid. No one is saying what you did is wrong. It is never the wrong choice to try to save someone's life. But if you only focus on other people, you forget you're allowed to be scared too. You nearly died, kid. You don't have to play tough for me. Or your friends. Or your teachers. Yuta looked down again. The words sat heavier than he expected. Come to think of it, just what exactly was he supposed to feel? Terror? Fear? That didn't seem right. Others might not know, but he had killed Overhaul. Sure, it was difficult, and he almost died, but he won. Despite his grievous injuries, quite easily at that. It would be wrong to fear what he had defeated. Perhaps that reasoning was flawed after discovering his inability to use the Mangekyo again last night, but it is what it is. But if not fear and terror? Then what? Guilt? His mind wandered to the terrible things he remembered Overhaul doing in the anime. Nope. That didn't seem right either. I'm not trying to play tough, he mumbled. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. Hound Dog's tone softened. You're supposed to feel whatever you're feeling. That's it. No checklist. Yuta let out a slow breath. So I'm not failing at trauma. Congratulations, Hound Dog said dryly. You're passing with a solid C+. Wow. Thanks. Anytime. Another pause. Hound Dog checked something on the clipboard beside him. Alright. School policy says I have to ask this next part directly. He cleared his throat. Do you feel like you're in danger now? Physically or mentally? Yuta blinked. No. Any panic? Sudden fear? Nightmares? Loss of appetite? No. Just, homework. Tragic. Yuta snorted before he could stop himself. Hound Dog set the clipboard down. Good. Then you're not in the danger zone. You're in the processing zone. That tends to bring less need for worry. So I'm allowed to go. Couple more questions. Then yes. Yuta sat up straighter. Hound Dog raised an eyebrow. Last one, if something like that happened again, if you were facing something dangerous, would you freeze up? Or would you still act? Yuta didn't have to think long. I'd still act. Hound Dog nodded, satisfied. Then you're fine. He stood, stretching his back with a quiet crack. Well, emotionally fine-ish. Physically? You bounce like wet paper, so work on that. I walked into that one. Yab. Hound Dog reached into a drawer and slid something across the desk. A small card. Yuta picked it up. If you start feeling off, Hound Dog said, or if something hits you out of nowhere, call that number. Or come back here. You don't deal with this alone. Got it. Yuta inspected the card. A phone number. Office hours. A tiny doodle of a dog paw. Did you draw this? No. Yuta looked at him. Hound Dog sighed. Okay, yes. I was bored during lunch. Yuta smiled faintly as he put the card away. Thanks. Good. Session over. Hound Dog walked to the door and opened it for him. That's all for today. But I want to see you again next week. Same time. Okay. Yuta stood and headed for the door. Then paused. One more thing. I wanted to know if... Before he could finish, the door slid open from the outside. Hey, Ryo, did you fill out the faculty wellness survey yet? Nizu's threatening to replace all our chairs with yoga balls again. Yuta's brain short-circuited. Midnight stepped in, clipboard under one arm, heels clicking softly against the floor. Her eyes flicked to Yuta. Oh. Student in session. Session's basically done, Hound Dog grumbled. And no, I didn't fill out the survey. Because I'm not doing yoga while grading essays. He turned back to Yuta. What was your question? I wanted to know if there's a place I can train? For the sports festival, I mean. Hound Dog tilted his head slightly. Train. Yeah. Like, gym equipment. Training grounds. That kind of thing. There was a pause. Both pro heroes turned to look at each other for a while before looking back at him. You thought you didn't have access? Asked Midnight. Leading Yuta to realize that something was wrong. General Studies isn't hero course. I figured most of the equipment was off limits. Midnight stared at him. Then laughed. Not a polite chuckle. A full, genuine laugh that made Hound Dog's ear twitch. Oh, sweetie. No. You have full access to any general training facility on campus. Yuta blinked. I do. Yes, Midnight said, walking over and leaning against the desk. Weights, treadmills, endurance rooms, open fields, everything not specifically marked for quirk testing or hero course drills. She crossed her arms, grinning. Why did you think it was restricted? I don't know. Priority? Budget? Space? Yuta scratched the back of his head. Hound Dog huffed. Kid, UA is the biggest hero academy in Japan. We've got more gyms than some pro agencies. Midnight nodded. Every student hero course, support, general studies, business has access. The sports festival is designed for all of you. Yuta stared at them. Oh. Midnight smirked. There are even sign-up sheets if you want reserved time slots. Check the bulletin board near the cafeteria. Oh. Hound Dog gave him a flat look. You really thought we'd lock you out? I didn't want to assume. Fair, Hound Dog grunted. But next time? Just ask. Midnight pulled a pamphlet from the folder she was holding and handed it to Yuta. Here. Training Facility Guide. Times, locations, equipment lists. Read it. Use it. Yuta took it carefully. Thanks. Midnight's expression turned serious. But Yuta. He looked up. Don't overdo it. You're still recovering. Push too hard, and you'll end up right back in the hospital. You've heard of me. The lady grinned even wider in response. A UA student getting hospitalized is a rare occurrence, dear. Especially in a case like yours. Almost all the staff know about it. I'll be careful. Good answer, Hound Dog said. Now get out. I've got paperwork. Yuta nodded and headed for the door and into the hallway, pamphlet in hand. So I can train on campus. Relief washed over him. His mom wouldn't let him train at home, not after seeing him nearly dead in a hospital bed. And he was grounded, so sneaking out wasn't an option. But this worked. He looked down at the pamphlet. UA. High School Training Facilities Guide. Open hours, 6 a.m. 9 p.m., weekdays. Available equipment, weights, treadmills, combat dummies, open fields, obstacle courses. Reservation system, sign-up sheets posted near cafeteria. 6 days until the sports festival. He exhaled slowly. All right. Let's make it count. Chapter 21 Trial and Error. 5 minutes later. His phone buzzed with a text from his mom. * be home before 5. No detours. No strenuous exercises. I'll call the school if I get whiff of anything *. He groaned softly. That's right. Grounded. He'd barely left the building. The school day wasn't even over. He didn't have any plans when leaving the house earlier, so there was no possibility of her noticing he was planning anything suspicious. He literally wasn't. And yet somehow, she still managed to preemptively limit every possible freedom he might have considered. He dragged a hand down his face. I didn't even do anything. Training room access meant nothing if he wasn't allowed to stay on campus late. And if he pushed his luck any further, she'd personally drag him home by the collar. He sighed and started walking toward class. Fine. No gym today. I'll just get to work on something else. He had other plans beyond just physical exercise. Developing jutsu was one of them. In the battle with Overhaul, Yuta's lack of any offensive means had left him in a passive position. If he wanted to participate in the sports festival, just body flicker was far from enough. However, his fundamental problem hadn't changed. The lack of theoretical foundation was a problem hard to overcome quickly. I'll head to the library then. If he couldn't find anything useful, then he would have to brute force his way to a solution, relying only on memory. Hand seals, chakra molding and elemental formulae. Hope I find something useful. He adjusted his bag and made his way down the corridor, weaving through groups of students migrating to their next classes. General Studies kids chatting. Support course kids hauling projects. Hero course kids, being loud. Let's try the other way. He thought upon noticing a certain pink-haired AMD invisible girl among them. Eventually, he made it to his location. The quiet of the library wing was a welcome relief. Thud, thud, thud. His footsteps softened as he crossed into the carpeted section of the building. It was cooler here, dimmer, calmer, a place where even Class 1A couldn't cause explosions without getting shushed into oblivion. All right. Focus. I need anything on energy manipulation, quirk theory, key studies, whatever overlaps with chakra molding. He rounded the corner and pushed open the library door. The familiar scent of old paper and disinfectant hit him. Rows of shelves stretched out like a forest of potential answers, or a reminder of how catastrophically little this world understood chakra. 2 students sat at a table whispering over homework. The librarian glanced up, nodded once, and returned to stamping a stack of books. Yuta slipped inside quietly. He headed straight to the reference section, biology of quirks, applied psionics, meta-human energy responses, internal support regeneration. None of these were chakra, but maybe there was overlap. Even a single parallel was enough to build a theory around. He schemed the spines. Nothing on internal energy pathways, nothing on molding practices, nothing on elemental conversion. He kept moving. Then, a single title caught his eye. An introduction to structured energy channeling in ancient martial arts. Okay, that's not nothing. He pulled the book free. Dust puffed off the cover dramatically, as if the universe wanted to remind him the thing hadn't been touched since the Meiji era. He cracked it open. Diagrams. Breath training. Pressure points. 5 minutes later, nope. That's not right. He placed the book back and continued his search. The result was exactly as he expected. Nothing. He exhaled slowly, shutting the last book with a soft thunk that echoed louder than it should have. Of course. Why would it ever be easy? Sitting here expecting UA's library to magically hand him a blueprint for chakra techniques was wishful thinking at its finest. This world didn't even have chi standards, much less chakra theory. He stared at the shelves for a moment longer. Maybe one part of him hoped a secret scroll would spontaneously spawn if he glared hard enough. It didn't. All right. Plan B it is. Trial and error. His least favorite option, mostly because error usually involved mild explosions, smoke, or something catching fire. I'll map out what I can make work. Yuta stepped out of the library with nothing, a flimsy notepad, and the creeping realization that if he wanted progress, he'd have to brute force his way through chakra theory like a caveman reinventing math. The bell soon rang for dismissal, and by the time he got home, Yuta had already mapped out everything he remembered from the Naruto world on scratch paper. Poorly drawn hand seals scribbled and arrows pointing at each other like a conspiracy board. What is this? Yuta blinked. Hey! Eri said no more, simply pointing to the haphazard writings on his notebook. Just a school project I am working on. I need to finish it if I want to perform well in the sports festival. What's a sports festival? It's a pain in the ass. He had barely finished when. Language. A smack landed on his head in full force. Ow! Watching my suffering, Eri giggled in response. Focusing back on remembering the hand seals, basic academy jutsu were the easy ones. Transformation technique dog boar ram. Clone technique ram snake tiger. Substitution tiger boar ox dog snake. Body flicker no seals, just chakra control and intent. He scribbled them down quickly, letting muscle memory fill in the gaps. Then came elemental ninjutsu. Fire release, great fireball snake ram monkey boar horse tiger. Fire release, phoenix flower rat tiger dog ox rabbit tiger. Fire release, dragon flame horse dragon rabbit tiger. Water release, water bullet tiger ox monkey rabbit boar. Hidden mist technique no seals, just chakra into moisture dispersion and environmental saturation. He hesitated. Hidden mist might be doable, even if he didn't have the affinity for it, but he'd table that. Earth release, earth flow spears tiger hair dragon. Earth release, earth dome tiger hair boar bird rat. Wind release, great breakthrough ram snake horse. Wind release, gale palm no seals, just directional chakra emission. Lightning release, chidori ox rabbit monkey. Principles, high-speed thrust and concentrated lightning chakra and tunnel vision risk. Lightning release, lightning beast tracking fang snake ram dragon tiger ox dog. And the one he absolutely could not use. Lightning release, Kirin relies on natural lightning, basically impossible here. Still, he wrote it down. Knowing the theory wasn't harmful. Finally, he scribbled out the most infamous chakra manipulation technique. Raise Nan chakra rotation and shape transformation and stable compression. No seals. Pure molding. Thankfully, I no longer have the reserves of a depressed houseplant. It looked solid on paper. In execution? He spent most of the night kneeling on his bedroom floor, palms pressed together, trying to mold chakra into anything while keeping the output microscopic. He wasn't stupid enough to try fire release indoors. Or lightning. Or wind. Or anything explosive. So he stuck to the harmless ones. Transformation jutsu, shadow clones, and substitution. Facts proved he had overestimated himself. The greatest result he could get was a wavy image from transformation and a puff of smoke from clone jutsu. He tried adjusting his chakra ratio, compressing more tightly, loosening the circulation, even attempting to rotate his chakra clockwise, which made no sense but felt spiritually correct. Nothing. By midnight, he face-planted onto his bed. Okay. Day 1, I have learned absolutely nothing. Day 2 came in the blink of an eye. This time, he added theory. Chakra is not equal to quirk energy. Chakra circulates like blood. Chakra molds like clay. Hand seals equals mental scaffolding. Transformation heavy on shape manipulation. Clone low chakra, high precision. Elemental nature manipulation and shape and ratio control. He wrote the formulas out again, this time translated into UA physics. Internal energy convert external effect. Conversion efficiency equals chakra control times mental image. Stability equals hand seals times flow alignment. This time, he wasn't progress. However, his biggest gain was figuring out why nothing worked. In theory, with his perfect chakra control and knowledge of most hand seals, he should be able to perfectly recreate any jutsu he remembered. However, trial and error said otherwise. Performing jutsu required more than just seals. The hand seals only helped properly summon and mold chakra, meaning it helped those with low chakra control get past the first hurdle. However, it did not tell him the ratio of chakra to use nor the pathways in which they should flow through. In the ninja world, ninjas possessed tenketsu and numerous chakra pathways. Without this knowledge, reproducing jutsu in an instant was a pipe dream. My current situation is probably worse than Naruto's, isn't it? At this point, his notes looked like the diary of a mad scientist. I need another plan. With 6 days left, Yuta couldn't afford to lay all his eggs in one basket. Time for plan C then. If chakra theory refused to cooperate, then he'd make the sports festival cooperate instead. The way to achieve that? His quirk. That, at least, worked cleanly. No hidden theory. No ninja mechanics he couldn't access. But for that, he needed support gear. Not weapons, exactly. UA would never approve kunao and shuriken being used. Ironic when Aoyama was literally blasting Mina with a laser that could destroy steel during said festival. But tools he could mark that could support movement or utility or misdirection. Something durable. There was only one place to get that. The support department back in school. It wasn't ideal, but if he could get Hatsum or one of the other support maniacs to build something simple, weighted tags, markers, anything conductive or trackable, he could use his quirk without burning himself out. But getting the materials wasn't the complicated part. Asking for them was. If he remembered right, he would need to fill in paperwork to use any support gear during the sports festival. Something Ida would learn after being tricked by a certain pink-haired gremlin. Still, if he didn't ask, he'd have nothing. The better the materials, the better his chances of winning. He let out a long breath, closing his notebook. Tomorrow, I'm going to the support course. One way or another, I'm walking out with something I can use. Chapter 22 The Art of Reasonable Requests. For those who recognize this chapter, make sure to reread it. UA. Development Studio Morning. The studio sat near the east wing, tucked between 2 labs. Most students didn't even know it existed. The sign outside read Prototype and Design Access Authorized Entry Only. Inside, the smell hit him first: metal dust, ozone, and machine oil. Rows of workbenches lined the walls, scattered with spare joints, polished tools, and half-assembled drones. Mechanical arms hummed overhead, sorting components. A few development students were already at work, focused on their terminals. Yuta stepped through the doorway and immediately felt out of place. A girl with goggles and pink hair was arguing loudly with a drill press. Another student was testing what looked like a backpack-mounted flamethrower. Someone yelled clear. And an explosion of purple smoke filled the back corner. Nobody screamed. Nobody even looked. This place needs a safety inspector. Or an exorcist. He made his way past the chaos, scanning for someone who looked like they knew what they were doing. Near the center desk sat a short, stocky figure in a yellow hard hat and work gloves, flipping through blueprints. Power Loader. The development studio supervisor and one of U.A.'s more practical faculty members. Also, coincidentally, the person Yuta needed to not piss off today. Yuta approached carefully. "Excuse me, sir." Power Loader glanced up. His yellow visor reflected the overhead lights. "Yes. I'm here to submit a support gear request for the sports festival." Power Loader leaned back in his chair and folded his arms. "Name and class?" "Yuta Akutami. General Studies, Class 1D." The visor tilted slightly, subtle interest, maybe suspicion. "General Studies, hey." Power Loader's tone wasn't dismissive, just mildly surprised. "You planning to transfer into the hero course?" "That's the goal." "Good answer." He gestured toward a clipboard on the desk. Fill that out. Include quirk details, item specifications, and reason for request. Be specific. If it's vague, it gets rejected. Yuta picked up the clipboard and scanned the form. Support gear request form UA. Sports festival. Student name. Class. Quirk name. Quirk description. Requested items. Reason for a request. Safety justification. He pulled out a pen and started writing. Student name, Yuta Akutami. Class, 1D, General Studies. Quirk name, Enhanced Control. Quirk description, Object manipulation via physical contact. User can mark objects with kanji and control them telekinetically within a variable range. Precision and range improve with focus and stamina. Requested items. 125 aluminum palm plates, 1820 cm, 23 mm thick, lightweight with reinforced cores. 215 dulled kunao, 2025 cm, blunted tips, rubberized grips. 320 dulled shuriken, 10-12 cm diameter, rounded edges, rubberized rims. 1 capture cloth, 4-5 m, synthetic fiber, fire resistant. Reason for a request. My quirk requires physical objects to function. Without external items to manipulate, I have no offensive or defensive options. The requested gear provides safe, non-lethal tools I can control effectively during the festival. Safety justification. All items are dulled, blunted, or otherwise modified to eliminate lethal risk. The capture cloth is standard restraint equipment used by pro heroes. These tools allow me to demonstrate my quirk's potential without endangering other students. He reread it once, made sure nothing sounded too aggressive, and set the pen down. Then he pulled out a folded sheet of paper from his pocket, a handwritten letter he'd drafted last night. He clipped it to the form. To Power Loader, Development Studio Supervisor. Support gear request Yuta Akutami. Sir. I understand that support gear regulations exist to maintain fairness and safety during the sports festival. I respect that completely. However, I would like to clarify that my quirk is fundamentally non-functional without physical objects to manipulate. I'm not asking for performance enhancements, I'm asking for the bare minimum tools required to participate meaningfully. The items I've requested are all dulled, blunted, or otherwise modified for training use. They pose no greater risk than standard hero course equipment already approved for combat exercises. If this request is denied, I will be forced to work with whatever objects are available in my immediate environment: desks, chairs, loose stones, or potentially sharp kitchen utensils from home. I would prefer to avoid that scenario, both for my safety and the safety of my classmates. Thank you for your consideration. Respectfully. Yuta Akutami. Class 1D. Yuta clipped the letter neatly to the form and slid the clipboard back across the desk. Power Loader picked it up without a word. He read the form first. His expression didn't change. Then he flipped to the letter. 5 seconds in, his visor tilted slightly. 10 seconds, and his mouth twitched. 15 seconds, and he set the clipboard down very carefully. Kid, he said, voice flat, did you just imply you'd use kitchen utensils as improvised combat tools if this gets rejected? No, sir, Yuta replied calmly. I stated a hypothetical safety risk. Power Loader stared at him. Yuta didn't blink. Behind them, someone's jetpack misfired and slammed into a ceiling beam. Nobody reacted. Power Loader exhaled slowly through his nose. Kid. Yes, sir. This is either the most reasonable or the most unhinged request I've seen this month. I prefer to think of it as practical. Kid. I can't approve this. Yuta blinked. Is something wrong with the request? No, Power Loader said slowly. Technically it fits under quirk-dependent tool allowances. The items are non-lethal. Your reasoning is detailed. Even your letter, while vaguely threatening, covers the bases. Then. I'm not the one who approves sports festival gear. Power Loader tapped the clipboard. This goes to the Quirk Equipment Oversight Committee. They'll review it. I'll send it in now. You should get an answer by early afternoon. He paused. Don't get your hopes too high. They reject half the hero course requests. I understand. Good. In the meantime, do not sharpen kitchen knives. That was never my plan. Still saying it out loud. He stamped the intake slip and waved Yuta off. Come back when you're called. Yuta bowed slightly and escaped before the studio exploded again. 3 hours later, support course announcement. Student Yuta Akutami of Class 1D, the PA system chirped, please report to Development Studio Room A. Your support gear request has been reviewed. The voice was disturbingly cheerful. Yuta's stomach sank. Good news was never announced in that tone. When he arrived, the room was unusually quiet. Power Loader stood behind the desk. And beside him. Good afternoon, Yuta. Nizu waved cheerfully, tail swishing, eyes bright enough to cut steel. The small mammal sipped tea from a floral cup, smiling like he'd been waiting all morning for this scene to occur. Yuta's stomach sank even further. That was fast, he said carefully. Oh yes. Your application was quite interesting. We prioritized it. Power Loader didn't speak. Which was worrying. Nizu set the teacup down with a bright clink. Now then. Let's discuss your support gear request. Yuta inhaled. Was it approved? Nope. Nizu held up the clipboard now stamped with a large, unmistakable red mark. Rejected. Yuta kept his expression neutral. May I know the reason? But of course. Nizu beamed. There are several. He lifted one paw. First necessity. You see, the UA Sports Festival is a test of individual ability, not external equipment. Hero Course students may use support gear only if it is registered as part of their quirk function, while support course students can use anything they make themselves. General Studies students, however, are subject to the same restrictions as the Hero Course. To be fair, UA was informed of your accident several days ago. Your police statement regarding the incident was reviewed by the committee. Fascinating reading. You described evading rapidly shifting terrain, dodging debris under pressure, and maintaining spatial awareness while injured. Nizu tilted his head. Such demonstrated agility calls into question whether you require tools to function in a combat environment. In fact, you performed quite impressively without any. Yuta's jaw twitched. Nizu lifted his second paw. Second categorization. Your quirk involves object manipulation. A form of tactile-initiated telekinesis. The committee determined that this does not inherently require specialized weapons to participate in the festival. And third. Nizu smiled wider. Precedent. We must ensure fairness. If a general studies student requests bladed tools, even modified ones, then other students with similar quirks may attempt the same. We cannot open that door right before the sports festival. He folded his paws neatly. So, combined with your previous performance, the conclusion was simple. Nizu's voice remained bright, cheerful, mercilessly final. You don't need the equipment. Yuta inhaled slowly. I see. Oh, don't feel discouraged, Nizu added. Your creative approach was delightful. Truly one of the more entertaining submissions I've seen this year. Yuta bowed slightly. Thank you for informing me. You're very welcome. Good luck at the festival, Nizu chirped. Creativity thrives under limitation. I'm sure you'll perform wonderfully with whatever you can legally use on the field. Yuta inhaled once. Deeply. Understood, sir. Splendid. Do your best without stabbing anyone. Yuta blinked. I wasn't planning to stab anyone. Perfect. I'll be rooting for you. Nizu hopped off the stool. Goodbye now. I have 6 more forms and an explosion report to review. They watched as he moved out the exit. Finally, Power Loader broke the silence. It was a good request. Surprisingly sane, compared to most I get. Power Loader scratched the back of his head. But management signs off on festival gear, not me. You'll have to improvise. Yuta nodded slowly. Yet. I figured. He turned toward the exit. Plan C, acquire support gear. Rejected. Time for Plan D then. Chapter 23 Be the Batman. UA. Cafeteria afternoon. Yuta lay backward across the cafeteria chair like someone who had just watched his dreams get set on fire and mailed back to him in an envelope labeled no refunds. One leg draped over the side. His head hung off the backrest. His lunch tray sat untouched on the table. He stared upside down at the ceiling, contemplating Plan D. Which was code for go back to pondering how to make Plan B work. The cafeteria chatter hummed around him, cutlery scraping, students arguing about lunch sets, someone loudly advertising their self-designed protein bar. But his classmates found him first. Kimura slid into the seat across from him, tray clattering. Why do you look like that? Hana blinked at him. Are you dying? She proceeded to poke Yuta's limp arm with a fork. Blink twice if you're dying. Just having a midlife crisis. Don't mind me. Yuta responded apathetically. Kimura cocked his head. All right then. So, why were you called to the design lab this morning? Yuta slowly lifted one eye, voice flat, 2 words. Support gear. Hana tilted her head. Failed, hey. Yuta exhaled. Yab. He proceeded to reveal the ins and outs of the matter. Tanaka leaned back, a grin tugging at the corner of his mouth. Man, I mean, the fact that the principal smiled while crushing your dreams impressive, in a soul-crushing sort of way. Never stood a chance, Hana added. Rest in peace, Kimura concluded. Yuta didn't respond. Kimura tried again. So, what now? You gonna improvise or just sulk? Both, Yuta muttered, tone deadpan. Hana snorted. You always make it sound so heroic. Like, tragic but classy. Yuta finally cracked one eye open. You all know exactly what you sound like, right? Kimura shrugged. We're trying to help. Helpful is debatable. They all chuckled quietly, the tone light but laced with teasing. Well, you'll probably find a way around it. I don't know. This seems like a dead end. Kimura thought differently. Don't listen to this idiot. Hana snorted. You notice details when we don't. I'm sure you'll think of something. Tanaka gestured at the tray. Maybe eat something. Might help you think clearer. Hard to see solutions when you're starving. Right, Tanaka nodded. Clear mind, clear vision. Kimura added, everything's easier when you can see it properly. Hana hummed. Exactly. Sometimes the trick is just looking at it from the right angle. Yuta stared at them. The 3 of them kept talking, arguing about which angle was the right angle to look at things from. But Yuta wasn't listening anymore. Because something inside him clicked. A slow, creeping horror dawned across his face. He sat up very slowly, very stiffly like a corpse rising from a coffin. No, he whispered. Kimura blinked. You good? No, Yuta said again, voice hollow. I'm not good. He dragged a hand down his face. Then another realization hit him even harder, and he choked out. I'm an idiot. His friends shared a look. Like normal idiot? Tanaka asked. Or the rare kind? The catastrophic kind, Yuta whispered. He slumped forward, placing both hands over his eyes. Because the truth was now undeniable. He had spent 3 days. 3 full days. Trying to recreate jutsu. Blind. Without visual analysis. Without chakra tracking. Without energy pattern mapping. Without the one tool engineered specifically to copy, analyze, break down, and reconstruct complex techniques. The one tool sitting inside his skull. The Sharingan. He had done all of this while completely ignoring the literal ocular cheat code. He stared down at the table in defeated silence. I am genuinely, irreparably stupid. Tanka pushed up his glasses. That's a bit much. Shush. This is his eureka moment, Kimura gestured dramatically. Don't ruin it. Yuta suddenly stood up. Hana blinked. Where are you going? Gotta take care of something, Yuta said, grabbing his tray. Tanaka raised a brow. What, secret girlfriend? Yeah, her name's Responsibility. He uttered a while picking up his tray. Sounds toxic. Very. You two gonna break up? Yuta paused. Hopefully. Then he dashed out of the cafeteria. His friends watched him go. So what do you think he's doing? Hana said. No idea. You. Kimura agreed. Maybe he'll go to a pawn shop or something. You can't bring external equipment at all. Maybe he has an idea to convince the principal. Tanaka nodded. Place your bets, is it smart reckless or dumb reckless? Hana didn't hesitate. Dumb. Kimura shrugged. To be fair, at least he realized it before the sports festival and not during it. Yeah, Hana sighed. Small miracles. UA. Hallway afternoon. Yuta dumped his tray, tightened his bag straps, and broke into power walk like a man possessed. Sharingan. I forgot the Sharingan. I actually forgot the Sharingan. I should be expelled just for stupidity. His friend's words still echoed in his head. Clear mind, clear vision. Everything's easier when you can see it properly. Sometimes the trick is just looking at it from the right angle. He'd spent 3 days trying to recreate jutsu techniques blind. Without the one tool literally designed to copy, analyze, and reconstruct complex techniques. The Sharingan. I'm an idiot. A complete, categorical idiot. He turned the corner sharply, mind racing. If I activate the Sharingan while performing hand seals, I can see exactly how my chakra flows. Map the pathways. Memorize the sequence. Then recreate it without. Wham! He collided with someone head-on. The impact wasn't hard, but it was sudden enough that both parties stumbled. Ow! A high-pitched yelp. Yuta blinked, steadying himself. A floating uniform staggered backward, sleeves flailing. His stomach dropped. Oh no! Toru! 2 voices called out simultaneously. Mina Ashido and Hantashiro rushed forward from a few steps behind. You okay? Mina asked, steadying the invisible girl by the shoulder. Yeah, I'm fine. Toru's sleeves waved dismissively. Just got. She paused. Slowly, her gloves turned toward Yuta. There was a beat of silence. Then. You again. Yuta's face went pale. Mina blinked. Wait, this is the guy. Cyril looked between them. The tray guy. And the book guy. Toru's sleeves jabbed accusingly at Yuta. This is the 3rd time. I didn't mean to, Yuta stammered, taking a step back. You never mean to. Toru shrieked. But it keeps happening. Mina covered her mouth, trying not to laugh. Cyril just looked impressed. Man, what are the odds? Too high. Toru snapped. The odds are too high. Yuta raised his hands defensively. I swear, this time was an accident, I wasn't looking. You're never looking. Toru's voice hit a pitch that could shatter glass. Do you just walk around with your eyes closed? I know I was thinking. Thinking? About what? New ways to terrorize me. Mina finally lost it and snorted. Ciro grinned. Toru, come on, he probably didn't even know you were there. That's the problem. Toru gestured wildly. I'm invisible. I get it. But this guy has a radar for hitting me. Yuta opened his mouth to apologize. But Toru wasn't done. First, a tray to the face. Then, a book to the head. Now, a full-body collision. What's next? A desk. A piano. A meteorite. Toru Mina tried. No. I'm cursed. This school is cursed. He's cursed. Yuta took another step back. Abort. Abort mission. Tactical retreat. Now. I'm really sorry, he started. Sorry doesn't fix my spine. Your spine is fine. You don't know that. Cyril leaned toward Mina. Should we stop her? Mina shrugged. Honestly? Let her get it out. She's been holding this in for days. Toru puffed up, sleeves trembling with righteous fury. I swear this time I'm actually going to. But before she could detonate verbally. Hey! Bakugo's voice cracked through the hallway like a grenade. All 3 of them, Mina, Ciro, and Toru, jerked around. Bakugo stalked toward them with the expression of a man who had been inconvenienced by the very concept of walking. What the hell are you extras standing here for? Ciro grinned. Toru got hit again. She was about to give him a piece of her mind. Bakugo stopped. Squinted. Glared at empty air. Do you idiots take me for a fool? He snapped. I don't see anyone. 3 simultaneous hey. Toru, Mina, and Ciro spun back around. Only to find the spot where Yuta had been standing. Completely empty. Toru froze. Her gloves twitched. He ran. Mina blinked. He ran. Ciro nodded sagely. He absolutely ran. There was a beat of stunned silence. Then Toru erupted. He ran? He ran. After hit number 3. Her sleeve slapped against her sides in outrage. He has the nerve to hit me and then flee the scene. What is he, a jet boot hero? Bakugo stared at them like they'd all collectively lost their minds. Whatever. Don't involve me in your dumb soap opera. He stomped off, muttering. Mina put a hand over her mouth. Should we go after him? Shiro stretched lazily. Nah. If he's running, he's motivated. Toru vibrated with indignation. I'm motivated. Motivated to commit violence. Mina patted her shoulder. Let it go, Toru. He didn't mean it. He never means it. That's the issue. Accidents shouldn't be a daily occurrence. She pointed in the direction Yuta fled. Mark my words, next time, I'm wearing a helmet. Chapter 24. Finally, Jutsu. UA. Class 1A free period. Toru Hagakure was furious. Not annoyed. Not irritated. Not mildly inconvenienced. Furious. And she made absolutely sure the entire class knew it. I mean it 3 times. Her glove slapped against her desk. 3 times. How is that even statistically possible? Mina leaned over her desk, chin in her hands, fully entertained. I mean, it is. That's not an excuse. Toru wailed. Shiro stretched in his seat. Honestly, at this point, you two have gravitational pull. Cosmic inevitability. Stop saying that. Kirishima raised a hand gently. Toru, are you okay? I'm being targeted. Dark shadow peeked from Tokoyama's shoulder. Your suffering sustains me. You're not helping. The class burst into laughter. Toru slumped over dramatically. I'm going to fail the sports festival because my bones will be powdered by lunchtime mishaps. Mina took a thoughtful sip of her drink. So, anyone have any ideas why this is happening? Her gaze was focused on the girls. No idea. Beats me, Ribbit. Not a clue. Mina sighed. Then looked at Eureka, who seemed to be in thought. Eureka, what do you think? Eureka blinked, not expecting to be dragged into this. Hey? Me? The room quieted a little, eager for some input from the resident nice girl. Eureka tapped her chin innocently. Well. I read something in a magazine once. 17 heads leaned in. That sometimes when a boy likes a girl, he'll look for excuses to get closer. You know, little interactions. Even bumps or clumsy moments. It's a thing. The classroom froze. Sound left the universe. Even Kaminari's brain static died out. Then. Ptahahaha, what? Kaminari exploded into laughter. Like. Toru. Mineta screamed, horrified. Why? Hey. Toru snapped. Ojiro chuckled. No offense, but how can someone like someone they can't see? The classroom collectively inhaled. Toru slowly turned her head. Her gloves twitched. Explain, she said flatly. Ojiro's tail froze mid-swing. I didn't mean it like that. Oh really? Toru folded her arms. So you're saying I'm unlovable because I'm invisible? And no. I'm saying it's hard to visually evaluate things. Dig yourself out, Ojiro, Kaminari whispered. Dig fast. You're not helping. Ojiro sputtered. I didn't mean Toru, please. Before Toru could bury him alive with words, Midoriya frantically waved both arms. Anyway. Eureka's theory isn't necessarily applicable. There's no concrete evidence that Yuta-san has displayed typical attraction behaviors, so we shouldn't jump to conclusions. Bless him. The tension dissolved. Thank you, Midoriya, Ojiro mouthed weakly. Toru huffed. Still offended. Mina giggled. So, Toru, now that we've all been emotionally traumatized, the real question is. She leaned in. Do you think he likes you? Absolutely not. Toru snapped instantly. He doesn't even see me. Literally. That's the entire issue. Shiro shrugged. I'm more interested in how he disappeared when we turned around because of Bakugo. Bakugo slammed his desk. Are you saying this is my fault? Technically, Shiro said, your voice triggered the turn. You want to die. See? Look at that reaction time, Shiro whispered to Mina. Yuta could never. Mina giggled. Todoroki, from his seat, finally spoke. Teleportation. He mused softly. Everyone blinked. Todoroki nodded to himself. If he vanished instantly without sound, maybe. Then he shrugged. Or maybe he ran. And just as quickly as interest arrived, Todoroki stopped caring. Maybe we should go see him. What do you think? No way. Class resumed its chatter. The free period wound down, and soon Aizawa called them for practical lessons. Life moved on. At least for them. Training field. See later that day. Yuta crouched in a quiet corner of the training field, hood up, eyes narrowed. He activated his Sharingan. Bright red tomo spun to life. In his notebook lay the fruits of yesterday's frantic efforts. Rough chakra flow sketches. Failed ratios. Notes like "this is wrong. Why is this wrong?" And now underlined multiple times. Use. They. Sharingan. You. Clown. He reviewed the hand seals. He tried again. Chakra surged. It fizzled. He adjusted the ratio. It sputtered. He corrected the molding. It twisted the wrong way. He corrected that correction. It backfired into his shoulder. Ow! He kept going. He used the Sharingan to trace every microflow through his chakra network. He scribbled new ratios. New formulas. New diagrams. By sunset, his notes had evolved from simple sketches to fully mapped anatomical chakra channels. Branching lines for Tengetsu. Flow arrows. Ratios labeled with decimals. Attempts at conversion theory. It looked like a mad scientist's dissertation. He went home afterward mentally broken, fingers cramped, eyes throbbing, and pushed open the front door. The smell of stew hit him first. Then his mom's voice floated from the kitchen, sharp as ever. Wash your hands before you touch anything. He blinked. I just walked in. That counts as touching things. Right. Of course it did. Eri peeked from behind the hallway corner, clutching a pencil and a half-finished homework sheet. Welcome back, she said quietly. The tension in his shoulders eased a little. Hey. You doing okay? She nodded. Your mom helped me with math. I don't like math. There was silence for a moment. Eventually, Yuta's lips twitched upward into a smile. Welcome to the Force, kid. From the kitchen. I heard that. He made a face at Eri. The girl just lowered her head. Dinner was already set aside for him, a plate covered with foil, like always. She didn't say she worried. She didn't have to. It was built into the plate. He ate quietly while Eri drew beside him, legs kicking under the chair. His mom moved around the kitchen with the familiar efficiency of someone who both cared deeply and refused to admit it out loud. No big talks. No lectures. Just life continuing around him. He went to bed afterward, slept, woke up, and resumed during breaks the next day. Hand seals. Sharingan. Correction. Ratio adjustment. Flow refinement. Hours passed. Attempts piled. Dozens. Maybe 100. And eventually, he ran out of chakra. Oh come on. Training field. See next afternoon. Yuta exhaled slowly. Sharingan active. Hands steady. He ran through the seals again. His chakra aligned. Flowed. Condensed. Shifted into an earth-nature blend he had never felt before. For the first time. It stabilized. His eyes widened. This is it. He slammed his palm onto the ground. Earth-style, flowing mud wall. A rumble. The ground shuddered. And a thick, sturdy, muddy earth wall erupted upward, solid and stable, towering over him. Silence. Wind rustled the grass. Yuta blinked up at the wall. He didn't move. He didn't breathe. And then... Yes. His voice cracked into the sky as he punched the air. I did it. Finally. He grabbed his notebook, holding it up like a sacred artifact. You hear that? I'm not an idiot anymore. A passing 1B student stared. Yuta didn't care. For the first time since arriving at UA, since fighting Overhaul, since being grounded, since smashing Toru with school equipment, he had made actual progress. Real jutsu. The first of many. The fact that it was an earth-style jutsu not of his natural affinity had been surprising. He had tried the same 100+ sequences with the first 4 nature transformations that came to mind. Luckily. Ha! He grinned up at the wall. Okay. That's one. He tightened his fists. Let's see what else I can do. Yuta stepped back from the wall, still buzzing with adrenaline. His chakra reserves didn't feel great, but he had just performed an earth-style jutsu outside his natural affinity. He needed to ride that momentum. Alright, next. He flipped through his notes, the messy pages filled with half-successful attempts at other ninjutsu. One heading was circled, underlined, and aggressively stabbed with pen marks. Shadow clone? Probably impossible. Try anyway. Yuta inhaled. Okay. One crazy idea per day can't hurt. He stood in the clearing again, hands forming the familiar seal. He gathered chakra. It wobbled. He stabilized it. Then he tried to split it. It cracked like glass. Too heavy, he muttered. Too much chakra at once. Okay. Smaller ratio. He adjusted, compressing it tighter in his core. Deep breath. Seal. Chakra surged. Split. Twisted. Poof. Smoke burst around him. When it cleared, Yuta froze. Standing a few feet away, looking equally horrified and equally him. Was him. Yuta said. The clone echoed. They stared for 3 long, silent seconds. Then, in perfect synchronization. Hey! Yuta blinked rapidly, pointing at the clone. I actually pulled it off. The clone pointed back. Did we actually pull it off? They both turned in the same direction, nodding in disbelief. This is insane, Yuta whispered, eyes widening in awe. The clone took a hesitant step forward. And immediately tripped. Face first. Into the dirt. Yuta flinched. Oof, that looked like it hurt. The clone's voice rose from the ground. I felt that. Why did I feel that? Yuta rubbed his temples. Because we're doing this wrong. The clone rolled onto its back. Okay. New rule. Don't make me walk yet. Noted. They sat in awkward silence for a beat. So, what now? The clone asked. Yuta sighed. Honestly? I have absolutely no idea. Chapter 25 The UA Sports Festival. UA Sports Festival grounds morning. The roar of the crowd was deafening. Not loud deafening. Tens of thousands of people packed into the stadium, cheering with the kind of raw excitement that made the air vibrate. Flags waved. Homemade banners bobbed. News drones buzzed overhead, swooping between camera cranes and suspended projectors. Agencies filled the higher seats, pro heroes in uniform scanning the field with sharp, evaluating eyes. It was nothing like the calm of the classroom or the quiet chaos of the training grounds. The stadium rose like a coliseum, packed wall to wall with spectators who'd traveled from across Japan just to witness this. This wasn't just a school event. This was national television. Akudamai apartment living room. Aiko sat in her wheelchair, positioned directly in front of the TV. Eri sat cross-legged on the floor beside her, clutching her rabbit plush, eyes wide. The screen showed the massive stadium, crowds filing in, commentators hyping up the event with practiced enthusiasm. You nervous? Aiko asked. Eri nodded slowly. Me too, Aiko admitted. But he'll be fine. What if he gets hurt? Aiko's expression softened. Then he'll get back up. That's what he does. Eri hugged the plush tighter. On screen, the camera panned across the stadium, capturing the sheer scale of the event. Good morning, UA Sports Festival. Present Mix voice exploded through the speakers. Eri didn't blink. Aiko smiled and placed a hand on Eri's head. Don't worry. I'm sure he'll be fine. A sudden electric guitar riff blasted through the TV. In the UA arena. Present Mix voice followed, soaring through the air like a shockwave. Good morning, U.A. The stadium erupted. The front screens flared with vibrant colors. And welcome, one and all, to the annual UA High Sports Festival all. That's right, folks. It's that time of year again. The event that separates the strong from the weak. The brave from the boring. The heroes from the not heroes yet. Laughter rippled through the stands. We've got pro heroes in the house. Agencies scouting for the next big thing. And of course, millions watching at home. As the crowd screamed back in response, the camera panned to the commentary booth, where a heavily bandaged Aizawa sat slumped in his chair like someone who had been resurrected purely out of obligation. Bandages covered half his face, and his eyes were visible only because Present Mike had physically propped them open for the shot. Present Mike leaned in with a grin. And joining me on commentary, freshly patched up and held together with more gauze than dignity, the mummy man himself, Shota Aizawa. Aizawa stared flatly at the camera. I was forced. Ignore him, folks. He's just shy. Aizawa turned his head toward the field. Just start the ceremony. With pleasure. A burst of fireworks exploded over the stadium. The opening theme blasted through the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, students, spectators, heroes, and hopefuls, please put your hands together for the first-year hero course. The gates slid open. Meanwhile, in Class 1D waiting area, the concrete hallway hummed with vibrations from the crowd above. General Studies students stood in their section, matching tracksuits and restless energy. Some stretched. Others psyched themselves up. A few already looked like they regretted coming. Yuta leaned against the wall, hands in his pockets, eyes half-lidded. Around him, his classmates were talking. This is it. We're actually here. Oh God, is anyone else nervous? He could taste the anticipation in the air. A loudspeaker crackled overhead. All first-year participants, prepare to enter the arena. Hero course, please move to your designated starting positions. Movement rippled through the hall. Kimura exhaled. Here we go. Hana stretched her arms. Let's not embarrass ourselves. Tanaka adjusted his glasses. Speak for yourself. Yuta straightened, rolling his shoulders. The massive steel doors began to open, bright sunlight spilling into the tunnel. Everyone tensed. This is it. The sound them first. A wall of noise, cheering, clapping, fireworks bursting overhead slammed into him the moment they stepped out. The stadium was a sea of color, faces blurring together in a massive mosaic of excitement. Hundreds of cameras swiveled toward them. Yuta squinted against the sun. Next up. General Studies C, D, and E. Next. Support course. F, G, and H. Lastly. Business course. I, J and K. The hero course walked confidently at the front. Midoriya. Bakugo. Todoroki. General Studies followed behind. Support course after that. Business course brought up the rear. Once everyone gathered, Midnight strutted onto the platform, microphone raised. Welcome, everyone, to the UA First Year Sports Festive all. The stadium erupted. Quiet, everyone. Midnight declared. Representing the students, we have Katsuki Bakugo, from Class 1A for the student pledge. From here, Yuta could see Class 1A's panicked reactions as Bakugo marched forward with all the grace of a lit fuse. The crowd quieted into a tense silence. Cameras zoomed in. He grabbed the mic, leaned forward, and I pledge to win. Silence. Then a beat. That's it. The stadium erupted into chaos. Half the crowd booed. The other half laughed. Midnight blinked. Bakugo, that's not exactly. I said what I said. He turned and walked off the stage without waiting for permission. At least become a soft, bouncy step to jump off. The combined classes had fallen into outrage. Ida shot forward in the Class 1A section, arms chopping violently. Bakugo. That was highly inappropriate. You were supposed to represent. Shut up, Four Eyes. Upstairs, Aizawa sighed into his scarf. Why do I even bother? Present Mix's voice crackled over the speakers, barely containing his laughter. Well. That was something. Bold strategy from the Class 1A representative. Let's see if he can back it up. In the General Studies section, Kimura muttered, did he just declare war on everyone? Pretty much, Hana said flatly. Tanaka adjusted his glasses. Tactically inadvisable. He's made himself a target. Yuta didn't react. To say he had expected anything less would be an understatement. Midnight cleared her throat, regaining control of the stage. Right. Well then. Enough pledging and posturing. Let's get to what you're all here for, the first round. The massive screens around the stadium lit up, displaying a rotating roulette of possible events. The crowd leaned forward. The first game is what you'd call a qualifier. Every year, many drinks their tears here. The wheel spun. Spun. Stopped. The first round is obstacle race. All 11 classes will participate in this race. The course will be the circumference of this stadium. 4 kilometers. Our school's selling point is freedom. Which means. She licked her lips sadistically. As long as you stay within the course, it doesn't matter what you do. Now. Take your places everyone. Students began moving toward the starting gate in a steady current, hero course taking the lead, support and general studies folding into the mass behind them. The large metal shutters along the stadium wall opened with a heavy clank, revealing a wide tunnel that led out toward the perimeter track. You've heard it, kids. Anything goes. Run, fight, evade, outmaneuver. Just make it to the finish. If you get knocked off the track, welp. Better luck next year. 4 kilometers, seriously. What kind of obstacles? Hey, don't get crushed in the first 5 seconds. It seemed the nervous energy had peaked. As the crowd noise swelled, Yuta adjusted his footing at the starting line. And felt someone staring at him. Not the cameras. Someone closer. His eyes drifted sideways. And there she was. Toru Hagakure. Class 1A. Gloves and boots visible. The faint shimmer of light bending around an invisible face angled directly toward him. For one perfect, painful second, they locked eyes. Or, eye area. Her gloves twitched in surprise. Yuta immediately snapped his gaze forward like he hadn't seen anything. Nope. Nope. Not doing that. Focus. 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 She didn't see me. Across the divider, Toru leaned toward her classmates. Hey, it's him. Her voice pitched up in irritation. Hey? What's up, Toru? Someone beside her asked. The jerk, that's what. He's right there. Hey, don't you ignore me. Before she could finish, Midnight's voice exploded over the speakers. Everyone, on your mark. Toru jolted, her protest cutting off mid-sentence. Behind Yuta, Hana whispered with barely concealed nervousness. Yuta, you nervous? He shook his head once. Not really. What do you think your chances are? Yuta rolled his shoulders. High enough. Get set. 3 green lights came up. The first went dark, then the second. Until finally. The last one died. Go. Chapter 26 The UA Sports Festival 2. Go. Midnight ordered. The gate exploded open. The race began with a thunderous roar as hundreds of students surged into the narrow pathway. The moment they did, Yuta disappeared. All right, mummy man. Present, Mike said, leaning into his mic. Don't call me that. The flat voice replied. Mike ignored him. The race is off. The students are going strong. What's the first thing to pay attention to? Aizawa didn't look away from the monitors. The door. The door. Mike repeated. That's it. It's narrow. Below, chaos erupted immediately. The tunnel was packed shoulder to shoulder. Students jostled, shoved, and scrambled for position. Quirks flared in desperate bursts, flames, hardening skin, someone's hair whipping wildly. Damn it, move. I can't, there's no room. Stop pushing. Who designed this? Near the front, Todoroki raised his right hand. Ice exploded outward in a massive wave, coating the walls, the floor, and dozens of students in frozen crystal. The entire tunnel crystallized in seconds. Students screamed. Some were caught mid-step, frozen solid. Others slipped and crashed into the walls. A few managed to break free, smashing through the ice with hardened fists or heat-based quirks. Todoroki ran forward calmly, unbothered, already pulling ahead. Behind him, Bakugo blasted through the ice with raw explosions, propelling himself forward. Yaoyorozu created a staff and vaulted over the frozen students. Ida's engines roared to life, skating across the ice with practiced precision. Nice move by Todoroki. Present, Mike roared. Ice everywhere. Half the field's frozen solid. The first sifting. Aizawa thought. However, his thoughts had barely formed when they were proven right. Bakugo's figure blasted out of the path. Get back here, you half-and-half bastard! Naive Todoroki! Yaoyorozu yelled. It's going to take far more than that to trap us. The smarter ones Kaminari, Kirishima jumped or avoided it by inches. Support course kids scrambled and clung to the walls. General Studies panicked outright. He can do that. I see. More outside Class 1A managed to escape the ice than I anticipated. Aizawa's eyes narrowed. He's not trying to win yet. He's thinning the herd. The students who broke through the ice emerged into open air and immediately stopped. Very surprised when a shadow fell over them. Bang! A massive metal limb slammed into the ground. Wait, are those the entrance exam robots? Standing before them, towering and mechanical, were the faux villains from the entrance exam. 0-pointers. Dozens of them. Their red sensors locked onto the incoming students. You're kidding me. Those things again. Those who had taken the entrance exams immediately recognized it. Present Mike cackled as the cameras zoomed in. And here we are, folks. The first obstacle, the exam bot gauntlet. Todoroki's eyes narrowed. So. This is what they used in the general entrance exams, hey. Present Mike gestured dramatically. Robo Inferno. Damn it. Where do they even get the money for these things? You're thinking about money? How are we going to get past them? There's more than a dozen. So mummy man. Mike grinned from ear to ear. What do you think? It'll be a challenge for some. Aizawa nodded. For others. Not so much. Hey? Interesting. Well, let's just wait and see if you're. Present Mick's voice suddenly ceased to exist. Hold on, what? The feed cut from the robots to a different camera, one positioned farther along the course. Then farther. Then farther. Finally it locked onto a single figure sprinting along the outer track, already well beyond the robot zone. A single boy. Way out in front. The stadium erupted into chaos. Present Mike nearly fell out of his seat. How did he get past the bot zone? The race just started. The camera zoomed in. Red hair. General Studies tracksuit. Aizawa's eyes narrowed. Who the hell is that guy? On the field, Todoroki froze mid-stride. What? Bakugo whipped his head toward the giant screens, fury crackling. Ha! Who the hell in the teachers section? Everyone was stunned. What they? I don't believe it. Present Mick's voice echoed across the stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, it seems we have an unexpected anomaly. Currently in first place is not someone from the hero course, but someone from General Studies. Can someone tell me what in the heavens happened? You're the commentator, Mike. Eraserhead uttered blandly. Check the notes. Oh. Right. He frantically scrolled through the participant roster on his tablet. Let's see, red hair. General Studies. Ah. Got it. He grabbed the mic. Ladies and gentlemen. The current leader is Yuta Akutami from General Studies Class 1D. Tech support is working on replays to see just how this happened. It'll be in a while though once the obstacle course is over. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Mina vaulted over a frozen student, landing in a roll. Wait, Yuta. Toru's gloves clenched mid-swing as she dodged falling debris. That guy. Yurika touched a chunk of rubble, making it float, then launched herself forward. She blinked at the announcement. Isn't that? Azui leapt from wall to wall with her tongue. Ribbit. Siro swung overhead on his tape, grinning. No way. That guy? Sick. The announcement carried a greater effect on those from General Studies. Is that Yuta? Tanaka sputtered, adjusting his glasses. It can't be the same guy, right? He turned. Around him, Yuta was nowhere to be found. Hold on. He was right next to us. Wait, how did he skip the entire first obstacle? It's been like 30 seconds. The sports festival really isn't something to underestimate. Todoroki thought in the robot zone. He had no idea who was being mentioned, but the fact that they were from General Studies of all places said enough. At that moment, a robot's massive hand descended toward him. He didn't hesitate. His right arm swung upward. Crack! A pillar of ice exploded from the ground, encasing the machine in seconds. Arms, legs, torso, head. The entire robot froze solid. I'll have to take this seriously. Todoroki propelled himself forward on an ice path, skating between the robot's legs. and leave no room for anyone else. His fingers twitched. The frozen robot shattered behind him, collapsing into the path and blocking it completely. Next to pass. Shoto Todoroki from Class 1A. He freezes a 0-pointer and uses IT to block the path. Present Mike roared. Clever. Ruthless. That's the #1 recommendation student for you. Aizawa grunted. He's buying himself time. Someone's already ahead of him. By trapping everyone else. Brilliant. Crash. The dust caused from the robot's fall finally dissipated. Damn it. He blocked the path. Hey. That didn't fall on anyone, did it? The murmurs spread. Just then, a figure burst through the ice and debris, red skin hardened like stone. Damn you, Todoroki! Kirishima roared. You almost buried me alive. Another explosion of rubble. That Class 1A. Tetsu emerged, steel body gleaming. Is really full of bastards. Hey! Both looked at each other. Then gritted their teeth and ran forward. That's offensive. Aren't you? Your friend just sealed the path and nearly killed me to get first place. He's not even in first place. I know, right? A voice interrupted from above. Zero swung overhead on his tape, grinning. Always knew something was up with that guy. He's got quite the head start. Then. Boom. Bakugo blasted past all of them, explosions roaring. TCH like hell, I'm letting some nobody get ahead of me. He shot forward so violently that 2 nearby students screamed. And here comes the cavalry. Present Mike gestured wildly. Kirishima. Tetsu. Zero. Bakugo. All charging through. More students vaulted over the robots. Yaeorozu with a cannon, Tokoyami riding Dark Shadow, Ida skating on ice. Most of the front runners are from Class 1A. Mike continued. But don't count out the other courses yet. In the teachers section, Vlad King crossed his arms. As expected. Most who passed are Class 1A. All Might frowned, eyes on the screen. The other courses aren't bad either. His gaze settled on the figure far ahead. Yuta. Interesting. First place has some amazing speed. He's quickly approaching the second obstacle. The big fall. Present Mike leaned into the mic. But it seems Todoroki is catching up. He'll have to keep his pace if he doesn't want to get overrun. Hey! Yuta, who was approaching the second obstacle, turned back to see Todoroki blasting towards him on an ice path. Uh-oh! Ahead, the track opened into a wide gorge. Thin cables stretched across the gap, dozens of them, swaying slightly in the wind. The fall. Students were supposed to cross carefully, balancing on the tightropes. The hero course would clear this. Most from general studies and support would end their journeys here. Time to pull some ninja bullshit. Yuta hit the edge. And kept running. His feet landed on the first cable. Chakra condensed under his soles, sticking him to the thin line like glue. Then, he ran. Sprinting across with perfect balance like the tightrope was solid ground. Present Mix's jaw dropped. He's running across the tightropes. Like they're a sidewalk. Aizawa leaned forward, eyes narrowing. You don't see that every day. Of course not. This is prime circus material. Todoroki skated to the edge of the gorge. He stopped. Stared. Yuta was already halfway across, feet moving in rapid, precise steps, body perfectly balanced. Todoroki's expression hardened. He just ran across. Ice crackled under his feet. He raised his right hand. And created a small ice bridge, freezing the air itself into a solid path. Then he shot forward. Todoroki creates an ice bridge. He's not letting Yuta out of his sight. Present Mix's voice cracked with excitement. This is getting good, folks. First place versus the recommendation student. Who's gonna reach the third obstacle first? Chapter 27, the UA Sports Festival 3. This is getting good, folks. First place versus the recommendation student. Who's gonna reach the third obstacle first? The answer was obvious. Gliding over the earth and tightropes like a circus performer speedrunning a finale act, his speed didn't reduce one bit. However, Todoroki spared no expense to keep up with him. Did he do this in canon? Turning, he got a glimpse of the boy rushing after him through ice bridges. Such constructs would surely give the other students an advantage, but he didn't even bother to collapse them. However, Todoroki couldn't care less right now. He could have afforded to spare his energy if he were in first place and use a less conspicuous way to pass the obstacles, but Yuta's current pace didn't allow such luxuries. With chakra, his running speed was beyond Olympic without using body flicker. He's not slowing down. Only halfway through the fall, the sound of explosions caused him to look up. Get back here, you bastards! You're not getting ahead of me! Bakugo! The boy screamed through the air, catching up quickly. Todoroki's face crumpled. If I'm gonna win this, I can't afford to hold back. Ice blossomed under his legs, propelling him forward at rapid pace. He wasn't trying to conserve stamina any longer. TCH. Boom. A blast of astounding proportions catapulted Bakugo far forward. His smoking arms spasmed. A pain he ignored in place for a wide grin. The lead pack is far ahead. But behind them, others are catching up. They haven't announced how many will make it through, which makes it all the more tense. You can't relax for a moment. Those who made it to UA, all had some bright spots no matter how unremarkable. Most in general studies were only there because UA's hero course was too competitive. Others had abilities that weren't in line for the previous entrance exams. Those with transformations clawed, jumped, or flew their way over the gorge. Those with gear shot way past it. Damn! This is awesome! I know, right? The current top 3 race is so thrilling. How the hell is first place from general studies? Don't think it'll last long though. Do you know who the second place's father is? The flame hero Endeavor. Endeavor's bloodline? No wonder he's so good. He's got such a sick quirk. In the Akudamai home, Eri watched with rapt attention before turning to Aiko. Is he winning? Hey! Aiko was woken up from her absent-minded state. I guess. Her tone carried uncertainty. Though Yuta had explained his battle with Overhaul, this was the first time seeing it firsthand. Ladies and gentlemen, we've gotten to our final obstacle. Yuta stopped at the entrance to the final challenge. What we have here is a minefield. It's set up so you can tell where the mines are if you look carefully. Present mic stopped. Oh come on. On screen, everyone saw the boy from General Studies pause for a moment before resuming his run. Not walk. Run. His head was lowered, his legs moved at blistering speeds, and nothing happened whenever he stepped. There were no explosions, no blasts. I'm convinced. This boy's legs come installed with GPS. I see. This is an obstacle that puts those in the lead at a disadvantage. Todoroki on the other hand just arrived at the entrance, only to see Yuta dozens of meters away. But he certainly doesn't see it that way. Out of my way. The voice was followed by an explosive bang as Bakugo shot past Todoroki. Damn it! He created a wide ice path and ran on it. Second place has been overtaken and is now in third. The race is at the hottest stage in. Oh! Yuta's out of the minefield. The kid's heading straight for the finish, while Todoroki and Bakugo are struggling to keep up. These 3 are amazing. I wonder what they feed them. At home, Eri turned to look at Aiko. Aiko was stunned. Don't look at me. Yuta cleared the final strip of dirt and the finish line loomed. The roar of the stadium hit him like a physical force. He's coming in fast. Ladies and gentlemen, Yuta Akudamai from General Studies is about to. Boom. A deafening explosion shook the ground. Bakugo. Out of my way, you extras. A massive blast rocketed him across the minefield, detonating several mines in chain reactions. Dust blasted upward in thick clouds. Todoroki skated across the remaining mines with a rapidly freezing path, trailing behind the explosion cloud. Ha, don't think. Bakugo snarled midair, eyes locked on Yuta's back. He pointed one palm forward. You're winning that easy. Bakugo blasted himself forward, accelerating like a missile. Todoroki gritted his teeth, ice growing violently beneath him. He's pushing harder than before. Aizawa narrowed his eyes at the screen. Akudamai hasn't looked back once. Courage! Present Mike yelled. Or tunnel vision, Aizawa muttered. The crowd rose to their feet as the 3 converged. Yuta sprinting. Bakugo exploding. Todoroki ice skating like a demon. This is it. The final sprint. A 3-way clash. Who's gonna take first place? And the winner is... A blur cut through the dust cloud, roaring like a missile. Boom! A blistering comet of sparks and smoke tore past the tunnel entrance, slammed across the finish line, and plowed straight into the dirt. Katsuki Bakugo hit the ground hard enough to gouge a trench several meters long, skidding to a smoking halt. Silence. Present Mike gawked. Hey! Katsuki Bakugo! Gasps rippled across the stadium. A half-second later. Thump thump thump. Yuta burst out of the tunnel, boots skidding as he killed his momentum. He slowed just past the finish line, easing off a sprint rather than throwing himself into orbit. He turned back toward the field, breathing steady. Todoroki arrived seconds later, ice path carrying him until it evaporated into mist at the finish line. He landed silently, eyes trained on Bakugo's ditch. Present Mike finally found his voice. Katsuki Bakugo takes first place at the last possible second. There was a moment of silence. Then, the crowd detonated. No way. A general studies kid lost by that little. I thought he had it. Bakugo pulled a miracle. That was insane. It's too bad though. At his speed, he should have taken first place. The explosion kid came in a few seconds later. Not much to think about. Even Endeavor's son came in third. I know. This kid's quirk should make him quite fast. Even the pros were stunned. There you have it, folks. The three-way clash has finally been decided. First place Katsuki Bakugo from Hero Course Class 1A. He takes first in the obstacle race. Hardly impressive, Aizawa muttered. As for Yuta Akutami, finishing in a strong second shows just how much potential this young man has. I still can't believe he's in general studies. Aizawa wasn't listening. His eyes narrowed at the screen. In the distance Midnight whistled. That kid's legs are terrifying. In the teacher's section. All Might folded his arms, impressive I must say. I know, right? Snipe tilted his hat. Dunno how he pulled half o' that off. But I'll be damned, he earned it. Power Loader nodded. Seems the principal was right after all. This kid's hiding stuff. Can't believe I nearly added support gear to this stuff. Hey. Story for another day. Power Loader waved dismissively. Right. All Might muttered as he looked at the tunnel. By now, the participants were clearing the third obstacle and heading to the finish line. One by one they came through the gates, with dust, dirt, and exhaustion all over them. Sigh. Young Midoriya. Midoriya stumbled through the gate, panting heavily. His legs burned. His lungs screamed. He collapsed against the wall, hands on his knees. I didn't make it. The realization hit him like a truck. No first place. No dramatic comeback, not even the top 10. I knew this was going to be hard. But he hadn't even got close. Todoroki and Bakugo had finished in the top 3, alongside a third individual from General Studies, leaving everyone else struggling to catch up from the first obstacle. He looked up. The giant screens displayed the current rankings as more students crossed the finish line. His eyes scanned the list. First Katsuki Bakugo, Class 1A. Second Yuta Akutami, Class 1D. Third Shoto Todoroki, Class 1A. Midoriya's gaze lingered on the second place name. Yuta Akutami. General Studies. He'd seen him before. The cafeteria. But this? This was something else entirely. The entrance exams were based on fighting robots. His quirk must have been unsuitable to pass. Midoriya turned his head. And found Yuta standing near the edge of the field, hands in his pockets, breathing steadily. Their eyes met. Awkwardly. Yuta raised a hand. Waved. Midoriya blinked. Then awkwardly waved back. Yuta turned away. Midoriya exhaled. Why didn't I do better? He replayed the race in his mind. It's my fault. I should have been quicker. Smarter. He clenched his fists. Next time. I just hope I make it into the next round. That's odd. Yuta, on the other hand, was doing the same thing. If he remembered right, then Midoriya was supposed to take first place in the obstacle race. Sure, he knew his appearance would change that, but he had expected him to have a thrilling, more noteworthy performance. However, that wasn't the case. Come to think of it, it wasn't strange. Ever since the race, he had been ahead. Todoroki behind him would try his hardest to keep up without any scruples. Aside from the first robot crash, the rest of his actions actually ended up favoring the contestants. Especially the minefield. More students flooded in. Yuta noticed immediately most of them were staring at him. Like he was an exhibit in a zoo. Whispers spread. That's the general studies kid. Yet. Look at the tightrope scene. He just ran across them. Pretty metal if you ask me. The replay screen cycled through highlights: his body flicker at the start, his sprint across the tightropes, his navigation through the minefield. Over. And over. So that's how he did it. The kid practically skipped ahead of everyone at the starting line. He went past the tunnel and through the robot zone in one fell swoop. Present Mike exclaimed, seeing the replay. Tell me. Is that teleportation I see? No. Eraserhead replied. It's most likely speed-based. His opener was probably just too fast to catch through regular eyes. Though it's weird he never used it again. Aizawa thought. Is it too costly? Or did he just not feel the need to get past the finish line first? Well. That's quite a cool quirk the kid's got there. It's no exaggeration to say he's on the radar as it is. In the teachers section, All Might frowned thoughtfully. Popularity affects being a pro hero. His gaze shifted to Midoriya in the crowd. But young Midoriya. He sighed internally. He'll need to do better in the next round. Alright. They're coming in one after the other. We'll make a list of results later, but for now, good work, everyone. In the corner of the stadium, Bakugo leaned against the wall, hands on his knees. His arms shook. Not from weakness. From rage. That. It wasn't a mistake. Damn it. His palms sparked. Damn it. He turned, eyes set on Yuta, who was currently lost in his own thoughts. Guess the training paid off. Dude. A voice. Zero jogged over, grinning. That was awesome. Kirishima followed, equally hyped. Seriously, man. How'd you move that fast? And the tightropes, dude, you ran across like it was nothing. Yuta rubbed the back of his neck. Practice. Practice. Cyril laughed. Man, that's not practice. That's insane. Kirishima nodded enthusiastically. You've gotta tell us your training routine sometime. Yuta managed a weak smile. Maybe after. You. A voice cut through. Cold and sharp. Yuta froze. Zero and Kirishima turned. Bakugo stood behind them, eyes locked on Yuta. Veins bulged across his forehead. Sparks popped from his palms. You. Yuta swallowed. Good race. Bakugo's expression twisted. You think I need your help? Chapter 28, The UA Sports Festival 4. Kirishima blinked. Bakugo? What's up, man? Bakugo ignored him. His hands crackled with small explosions. You slowed down. Silence. Yuta's expression didn't change. What? Don't play dumb. Bakugo snarled. You slowed down at the finish line. I saw it. Kirishima stepped forward. Bakugo, calm down. Shut up. Bakugo shoved past him, glaring at Yuta. You think you're so noble? Letting me win? Like I'm some charity case? Yuta raised his hands defensively. I didn't. Bullshit. Commentator's booth. Present Mike leaned forward. Uh-oh. It looks like Class 1A's Bakugo has gotten into an argument with Class 1D's Akudamai. What's going on down there? Aizawa's eyes narrowed. Look up. Mike blinked. Hey. Aizawa pointed at the replay screen. The feed showed the final seconds of the race. Yuta sprinting. Bakugo exploding. Todoroki skating. And then. For just a split second. Yuta's stride shortened. His speed dropped. Just enough for Bakugo to blast past. The crowd murmured. Mick's jaw dropped. Wait, did he? Aizawa's expression darkened. He let him win. Back home. Eri turned slowly to Aiko. He didn't win. Aiko stared at the screen. No. But he was ahead. I know. Then why? I don't know, Eri. The replay started. Aiko's breath caught. You didn't. Eri blinked up at her. Didn't what? Aiko leaned forward, eyes locked on the screen. The replay looped again. Clearer this time. Aiko exhaled slowly. That idiot. Eri tilted her head. Is he okay? Aiko rubbed her forehead. He's fine. He's just. She trailed off. On screen, the Kugo was shouting at Yuta. Aiko sighed. Going to get himself into trouble. Eri watched quietly. Then whispered. He's really good though. Right. Aiko glanced at her. Eri was staring at the screen with something that might have been awe. Aiko's expression softened. Yet. He is. She reached over and patted Eri's head gently. But don't tell him I said that. The replay screen looped. Again. And again. The stadium went quiet. Then erupted. He threw it. Why would he do that? Is he stupid? The Kugo's fists clenched so hard his knuckles turned white. You. Yuta lowered his head with a wry smile. Right. Forgot they could do that. You bastard. If it helps, I didn't throw the game for you. I honestly thought it would be Todoroki coming in second, so. I'm gonna murder you. The Kugo lunged forward. Kirishima grabbed him. The Kugo. Stop. Let go. You're gonna get disqualified. I don't give a damn. The Kugo struggled, sparks flying. But Kirishima held firm. Yuta took a step back, hands raised defensively. Okay. So maybe I didn't think this through. He'd expected some backlash, sure. Maybe a few confused looks. Some whispers. Not this. Should have accounted for the replay screens. Another step back. Kirishima was still holding the Kugo, who looked ready to commit actual murder. Well. Better angry classmates than 12 teams trying to rip a headband off my skull. Yuta glanced toward where Todoroki stood, arms crossed, watching the commotion with narrowed eyes. Oh, the Kugo? He'll be too busy fighting off numerous teams looking for 10 million points after this is over. The thought almost made him smile. Almost. The Kugo's snarl snapped him back to reality. When I get my hands on you. All right, all right. Kirishima grunted, struggling to keep his grip. Dude, save it for the next round. Yuta took that as his cue. He turned and walked away. Fast. Not too far away. Mina, Toru, and Azui gathered near the edge of the field. So. That happened. Toru's gloves gestured wildly. I can't believe that guy made second place. The one who keeps hitting you. Ribbit. Yes. That one. Mina snorted. Okay, but real talk, he was actually really good. Toru's sleeves puffed up indignantly. That doesn't erase the anything. Trauma doesn't have an expiration date. Azui tilted her head. Do you think he let Bakugo win on purpose? Mina shrugged. Looked like it to me. Toru's gloves clenched. Why would he do that? Dunno. Strategy? Pity? Death wish? Definitely death wish, Toru said flatly. Bakugo looked like he wanted to vaporize him. Azui nodded. He's probably going to be a target now. Ribbit. Mina's grin widened. This is gonna be fun to watch. In another area. I can't believe he really advanced to the next round. Kimura uttered, watching from a distance. So much for a weak quirk. Out of the 4 of them, only 3 had managed to make it to the finish line. Hana moving forward once she reached the second obstacle and was currently somewhere in the stands. Should we go talk to him? At the question, Tanaka beside him fell silent. He hesitated for a moment, seeing Yuta moving further away, and ultimately shook his head. Probably shouldn't. He's advanced after all. Let's not disturb him. Finishing at the end of the pack, they both knew they had 0 chance of passing. Yet. You're probably right. We can talk after the festival. Kimura agreed. They both gave the friend they had barely known for a month a look before turning away. All right, everyone. Gather at the center stage. Midnight's voice boomed across the arena. Hundreds of students shuffled together in a messy semicircle around the stage. Yuta slipped into the back, avoiding Bakugo's line of sight like it was poison gas. Midnight strutted forward with full dominatrix energy. First we'll display the final rankings. The jumbo screen lit up. 1 Katsuki Bakugo. 2 Yuta Akutami. 3 Shoto Todoroki. 4 Ibara Shiozaki. 32 Izuku Midoriya. 38 Toru Hagakure. 42 Yuga Aoyama. Top 42 advance. Gasps, groans, cheers. Some students slumped in defeat as the bottom ranks were escorted away. Midnight cracked her whip with a flourish. Congratulations, Final 42. The crowd cheered. Now it's time for our second event. The giant screen changed. A dramatic illustration of All Might grinning heroically while present Mike and 13 dramatically posed around him, with All Might being carried like royalty on the backs of invisible horses. Midnight winked. A cavalry battle. Groans erupted. Kaminari threw his hands in the air. Why? I suck at these. I'm literally built to get kidnapped in this event. Midnight ignored him. As per usual, participants will form groups of 2 to 4. Work with whoever you want. Trust, betrayal, strategy, it's all allowed. Students buzzed, already whispering potential teammates. Midnight flicked her pointer at the screen. However, this cavalry battle comes with a special twist. The screen changed to a points chart. Each student has a point value based on their ranking in the obstacle course. Like the entrance exam. Ojiro muttered. Simple enough, Jiro said. Midnight continued. 42nd place is worth 5 points. 41st is 10 points. And so on, your value increases the higher you placed. People began calculating team values in their heads. Ida nodded firmly. Logical. But the screen flashed gold. The crowd held its breath. Midnight grinned. The student who took first place is worth. Silence. Students leaned in. 10 million points. The stadium went dead silent. Then, slowly, every single head turned toward Bakugo. The boy froze mid-rage, pupils shrinking to pinpoints. Hey! Then, every head turned again. Toward the far edge. Where Yuta stood. Hands in his pockets. Expression flat. Why are you looking at me? He muttered while shrinking his head. Play ignorant. Play ignorant. However, the crowd wasn't ignorant. Neither were many of the hero course students. Realization dawned. Wait. Hold on. If you beat first place, then... Midnight's grin widened. That's right, students. It's survival of the fittest. As long as you win the 10 million points, you automatically win the game. Whispers erupted instantly. So second place actually dodged the bullet. Does that mean he slowed down on purpose? Wait, did he plan this? Is this why he backed away earlier? Bro, read the future or something. It started small. One person. Then another. Then the murmurs spread. How did he even know? Previous sports festivals. If someone could think this much, so could Bakugo. His eyes widened. Yuta's last words echoed in his mind. If it helps, I thought Todoroki would come in second, so... Bakugo's jaw clenched. His fists trembled. Smoke curled from his palms. That bastard. Perhaps he wasn't aiming for him. Maybe Todoroki, like he said, however, it didn't change the fact that... Set me up. His head snapped toward Yuta, who was now very carefully not making eye contact. One twitching finger pointed and roared. I'll kill you. Midnight smiled. This is gonna be fun. Chapter 29, the UA Sports Festival 5. Bakugo's murderous intentions were successfully thwarted by the combined efforts of Class 1A. Eventually, everyone turned back to Midnight once he finished swearing vengeance. So none of them made it. Yuta glanced around, seeing none of his classmates. Hana didn't make it. Kimura didn't make it. Tanaka didn't make it. Not a single familiar face from 1D in the top 42. He wasn't surprised. A little disappointed, maybe. But not surprised. The hero course alone filled 40 slots. Only 2 openings. Statistically? Brutal was an understatement. I had expected them to talk to me though. His gaze went through the list. The only ones who made it from general studies are me. And... His gaze fell to a number at 34th position. Shinso Hui. For a moment, their eyes met across the field. Shinso stood alone, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Yuta raised his hand slightly, a small acknowledgement. Shinso's eyes narrowed. Then he turned away without a word. Right. Not exactly friends. Yuta exhaled and refocused on the board. Midnight was explaining the rules in detail. 2 to 4 members, pick your teammates, total points of all members are calculated and written on a headband. Each team had 1 headband, losing yours doesn't automatically disqualify you until the timer runs out. They're already forming alliances. Midnight hadn't finished, but people were already shifting. Class 1A was already clumping together. He scratched his head. Come to think of it, I didn't really think this far ahead. The last few days were occupied with unsuccessful jutsu attempts. Only now did he realize that he hadn't thought of a concrete plan for the sports festival besides just participating. I'm in second place with a strong performance, so I should have some appeal. However, who do I pick to form a team with? This was harder than he thought. Individual performance was important, but a cavalry battle emphasized teamwork. The minimum requirement was 2 people. Hence, unless there was no other choice or the appeal was far too great, people would associate with those they were familiar with. Oddly enough, he was most familiar with Class 1A even though they had barely met. I have a good understanding of their quirks. It's just Todoroki and Bakugo existed. While his performance was impressive, all he had shown was pure speed. Good, but the hero course had 2 classmates with even more appeal than him. If it came to choice, they would no doubt choose their classmates. Both of them would form good teams with the best of the class. The rest were honestly less appealing to consider and would be more of a burden than an ally in his view. So I'm the one at a disadvantage, hey? He had no classmates and no friends. It wasn't much of a stretch to say that being from general studies where only 2 people were good enough to get in was a debuff on its own. Yep. Definitely harder than I. Someone slapped the mic on the podium. Midnight's voice boomed. You have 15 minutes to pick your teammates. Begin. Students erupted into chaos. Be on my team. No, wait, your quirk is useless for carrying. I can serve as the horse. Yuichi. Let's team up. Meanwhile, at Class 1A. Team up with me. No. Team up with me. Come on, Bakugo. Don't you want me on your team? At the moment, Bakugo was surrounded by several of his teammates pleading to join him. Mina, Shiro, Shoji, Sato, and Aoyama. It seemed that having to defend 10 million points wasn't much of a deterrent for partnering up. Bakugo stood motionless in the middle with a stern face. Hold on. First. He paused. Tell me your names and quirks again. Come on. How can you not know our names? Do you seriously not pay attention to what goes on around you? Humph. Where's the guy with the red hair? Red hair? You mean the one from General Studies? A vein twitched on his forehead. The other one, you idiot. Hey. I'm right here. Kirishima walked over. It's Kirishima. At least try to remember my name. Whatever. Bakugo uttered nonchalantly. I need a horse. You in? You're gonna be the rider, right? Hell yeah. You'll need someone strong enough to handle the recoil of your blasts. That's about right. Not afraid. Of what? 10 million. Kirishima grinned and hardened his hand. Like hell I am. I'm excited. Nothing's more manly than fending off numerous opponents and standing strong. With my hardening, that can't get any easier. Bakugo smirked in response. Alright then. You'll do. Elsewhere. Midoriya stood frozen, mind racing. Team, who do I pick? Someone mobile? Someone defensive? Someone with long reach? Maybe. Midoriya. Wah. He flinched as Eureka stepped in front of him. You. Eureka-san. Ahoy. The girl nodded. Do you want to team up? Really? Yet. Yes. Thank you. Great. So what's the plan? Well. Midoriya scratched his head. We need mobility. And someone who can handle stealing headbands while we move. His eyes scanned the crowd. And landed on Ida. Ida. The tall boy turned, adjusting his glasses. Midoriya? What is it? Would you join our team? Ida blinked. Your team? Yet. Eureka chimed in. You, me, and Deku. We just need one more person. Ida was quiet for a moment, expression thoughtful. What role would I play? Mobility, Midoriya said quickly. You'd be our main propulsion. With your speed and Eureka's zero gravity, we'd be one of the fastest teams on the field. Ida's expression shifted. Not competitive fire, not like what might have sparked if Midoriya had been first place, but thoughtful consideration. In truth, I was considering forming my own group, but your analysis is solid. I believe our quirks could synchronize well. That's what we were thinking. Midoriya said. Very well. I accept. Eureka cheered. Yes. Okay, so who's our fourth? That leaves one role, Ida concluded. We require someone capable of grabbing headbands. Midoriya tapped his chin. I was thinking either Tokoyami or Azui. Both have versatile quirks that could help with stealing. Sue's over there. Eureka pointed. They hurried over. Azui. The frog girl turned, finger on her chin. Ribbit. Midoriya? What's up? Would you join our team? We need someone with reach and grabbing ability. Sorry, Azui interrupted gently. I already have a team. Oh. Midoriya deflated slightly. Who? Me, Shoji, and Mineta. Mineta. Right on cue, Mineta bounced in behind her, cackling. That's right. We're unstoppable. Shoji's mobility, Azui's tongue, and me. Ah ha ha ah ha ha ha. We should go, Midoriya whispered. Yes, Ida agreed instantly. They backed away and regrouped. Looks like Tokoyami it is, Midoriya muttered before heading toward him. Let's find him. They did, standing alone near the edge of the field, dark shadow hovering beside him. Tokoyami. The bird-headed boy turned. Midoriya. Want to team up? We've got speed, mobility, and zero gravity. We just need someone who can grab headbands while we move. Tokoyami paused. What is your strategy? Active point acquisition, Midoriya explained. We can't just defend. We need to keep moving, keep stealing, and stay unpredictable. What about the 10 million headband? Ida asked. On this point, Midoriya hesitated. I don't think we should go for it. Ida blinked. Why not? It's way too dangerous, Midoriya replied. Even if we steal it, we'll have to defend it the entire match. Unless we do it sometimes towards the end of the cavalry battle, but we can't guarantee we'll be successful. Better to go after everyone else and accumulate mid-tier points. Rational, Ida conceded. Then let us proceed. Todoroki gathered his team, Momo, Kaminari, and Sato. We'll go on the offensive, Todoroki stated. I'll handle the freezing. Yaeorozu, create insulation and gear. Kaminari, provide wide-range shocks if we're surrounded. Sato, strength roll. Kaminari scratched his neck. Are we going after the 10 million? That's our only goal. Todoroki answered immediately. Upon deciding their roles and battle strategies, his gaze drifted far across the field. To Yuta. Surrounded by students from Class 1B. Two half-teams stood around him, one trio missing a rider, one duo missing a back support. Neither looked promising. Both groups spoke over each other. Join us. We need a rear support, your speed would let us. No. No. We need a back carrier, your quick acceleration would help us pivot. Yuta rubbed his temple. Right. This is awkward. He didn't recognize any of them. Not their faces. Not their names. Probably Class 1B. Their quirks seemed functional enough, nothing terrible, nothing amazing. But here was the problem. One wanted him as the horse. The other wanted him as the rear support. I don't know their names. Their quirks aren't bad, but not exactly helping me. And they want me to be anything but the head rider? Do they not understand how top 3 placement works? There was teenage pride in it, sure, but also logic. Well, maybe not really much logic. After all, his shown abilities were all based on speed. Wouldn't it be a waste to keep the fastest person on the team on top with restricted movements? Perhaps if they were people he was familiar with, he would have agreed, but none of these guys even remotely rang a bell. The desire to form teams with them wasn't even there to begin with. I need someone who... Before he could decline, a faint hum cut through the noise. He looked up. A girl hovered toward him. Literally. Boots glowing faintly, lifting her a few centimeters off the ground. Pink hair. Goggles on her head. Wild grin. She stopped. Right in his face. You. The two teams stepped back instinctively. Yuta blinked. Can I help you? Mei Hatsum. Support course. She thrust out her hand. And you're gonna be my partner. Partner. For the cavalry battle, day. She leaned closer, way too close. I need someone with your speed and performance to showcase my babies. Your babies. My inventions. She pulled back and gestured grandly at the gear strapped across her body. Hover solace. Grappling hooks. Capture nets. Wire launchers. And more. Hatsum. Yuta though with a slight ponder. Right. I've heard of you. Great. My reputation precedes me. She grinned. So. Team up with me. Me? Why me? Why not Bakugo? He's first. Because dynamite temper already filled his team, and he looks like the type who would blow up my babies instead of showcasing them. She crossed her arms. You're fast. Smart. And intentionally threw first place. That means you're strategic. Or weird. I can work with either. Yuta's eye twitched. Next best thing, hey. Exactly. So what do you say? Behind them, the two 1B teams quietly retreated. Neither Yuta or Hatsum cared as the girls started pulling out devices one after another, explaining rapid fire. This one's a grappling anchor. This one's a shock absorber. This one. Two-person team. Minimum requirement. Maximum mobility. Her gear could compensate for missing members. And if we're not carrying extra weight? Ideas started forming. He was naturally reluctant to partner with others. However, Hatsum could solve most, if not all of his current problems. So, what do you play? As long as my babies get screen time, I don't care what role I play. Yuta exhaled. Well, better than the available options. His available options really weren't great. People from Class 1B, Aoyama, Ojiro, Koda. Yeah, no. But. He looked at the field. At the teams forming. At the 10 million point target painted on Bakugo's back. If I play this right. All right, he said. Let's do it. Hatsum's grin threatened to split her face. Yes. Okay, first put these on. She shoved a pair of goggles into his hands. Chapter 30 Cavalry Battle 1. Moments later. Yuta and Hatsum stood alone now, the other two teams having moved on. So what's the plan? Hatsum asked, fiddling with a device on her wrist. We stealing points? Or going straight for the big one? Yuta frowned. Not sure. He'd given up first place specifically to avoid being the main target. Snatching the 10 million back would make that pointless. But going after one big target is more efficient than chasing multiple smaller ones. And Hatsum wants exposure. The 10 million headband is where all the attention will be. If we go after scattered teams, we'll get less screen time. He scratched his head. I gave up first place because I felt it would come with possible problems. Guess I was right. My speed gets restricted in a team format, so when the second battle came out, I was kinda glad. Makes sense. But I only realized we could do a two-person team when Midnight announced the rules. Hatsum tilted her head. So you didn't think this through? Not entirely. She laughed. I like you already. Okay, so here's the thing, if we're gonna make my babies shine, we need to be where the action is. And the action's gonna be around that 10 million. Yuta rolled his eyes. Her entire dialogue was focused solely on showcasing her inventions. She's not wrong though. I didn't avoid first place because I hate attention. I need attention to get into the hero course. I just didn't want to be the target. If we're mobile enough. But I can do the same thing with other teams and rack up enough points to safely qualify. So which is it? The 10 million or not? His eyes scanned the other teams. Well. That should also work. He turned back to Hatsum. We'd have to time it right though, he said slowly. I don't want to have to evade everyone right from the start, so we'll bide our time and decide what to do when we get to that point. Either way, we'll safely qualify. Hatsum's eyes gleamed. I can work with that. Yuta exhaled. I can live with that. All right, time's up. Midnight's voice cracked across the stadium. Teams, line up. Present Mix voice boomed. Wake up, Eraser. Aizawa stirred. Is it starting? Yep. After 15 minutes of forming teams and talking strategies, 12 cavalry teams are lined up on the field. Aizawa's eyes narrowed as he scanned the arena. There are some interesting teams out there. Now then. Let's light the signal and get this bloody battle started. In the field, 12 teams spread across the rectangular arena. Each assessing. Each strategizing. Yuta adjusted the dark goggles Hatsum had given him. You won't mind taking a piggyback ride, right? Hatsum grinned and hopped onto his back. Not at all. Strapped to Yuta's sides were various pieces of Hatsum's gear, compact, lightweight, functional. Guess I couldn't escape the fate of being the horse. He surveyed the field. Though I'll take a pretty girl on my back over a guy any day. As he examined each team examined him in return. Just 2 people, hey. Todoroki's eyes narrowed. Probably to maximize mobility. Playing to his strengths. Beneath him, Sato. On his sides, Kaminari and Yaeorozu. Keep an eye out, everyone, Todoroki said coolly. Some people might give us a hell of a surprise. Midoriya's team locked eyes on Yuta's duo. All right, everyone, Midoriya said. Let's do this. Tokoyama's gaze didn't waver. 2 people. Bold. Eureka clenched her fists. We can do this. Ida nodded sharply. Agreed. TCH. Bakugo clicked his tongue, glaring across the field. Watch out for that one. He might become a problem. Got it, Captain. Kirishima grinned beneath him. Time to get serious, Shiro said, excitement building. Mina, however, couldn't quite share their enthusiasm. She glanced nervously at the 10 million point headband tied around Bakugo's forehead. Yuta's gaze swept the teams one more time. Midoriya's team has Ida now instead of him going to Todoroki. Makes sense. He's not chasing first place this time. What was that? Hatsum shouted over the noise. Nothing. His eyes drifted elsewhere. Out of the other teams, there were 2 familiar faces meeting his gaze. Hitachi Shinso. On his team, Aoyama, Ojiro, and another person who he couldn't recognize. All carrying dull expressions. He should have had no problems forming a team. Turning to the second gaze, he quickly turned away as if seeing a plague. Ignore. Ignore. Humph. You think you can escape from me? Watching Yuta turn away, Hagakure waved her fist in indignation. Just wait. I'll get my revenge by stealing your headband. Hagakure. Jiro called out. Nothing. All right everyone. Remember the rules, and keep the battle within the designated area. Midnight gave one final warning. The giant billboard displayed the words. On your mark. All right. You've made your teams. Now let's go. Begin the countdown to the brutal battle royale. 3. Everyone tensed. 2. Here we go. Yuta let out a breath. 1. Midnight swung her arm down. Start. Everyone immediately began rushing toward Team Bakugo. Like moths to a flame. A swarm of bodies converged on the explosive blonde, each team jockeying for position, calculating angles, preparing quirks. Now's our chance. Someone shouted. Get the 10 million. Don't let anyone else. Team Bakugo immediately went on alert. Stick to the plan and don't mess up. Bakugo yelled as they began running. Got it. The team rushed. Not away but towards the charging crowd. This better work. It will. Now charge. Sparks exploded across Bakugo's hands. Let's win this thing. The field erupted into chaos. The vast majority were going for the big number, and the rest were heading in the same direction because their targets were heading there as well. Yuta stayed exactly where he was. At the edge of the arena. Woohoo! Hatsum cackled on his back, goggles shaking. Look at them go. Straight for the big flashy number. Hey! Shouldn't we be moving? Not yet. His Sharingan hidden behind the dark goggles tracked every movement on the field. Let's pick a target first. Plus, this was all new development. He wanted to see just how Bakugo would break through the encirclement. Plus, unlike Midoriya, Bakugo doesn't have that Hatsume's gear to go aerial. What will he? Just then. Boom. The clash happened. With collision imminent, Bakugo's palms shot out, creating a deafening explosions to his left and right. Those reaching for his headbands were promptly blown aside. Barely stabilized by their teams before they fell. Out of my way, extras. With that, Team Bakugo broke through the blockade away from Todoroki's position. Yes. Mina put it into full throttle. Acid emerged from her solace, propelling them further away from the others. Damn it. Circle back. Don't let him get away. Every team circled. Bakugo. Up ahead. Kirishima warned. A team of 4 were headed straight for them. The lead horse looked to have the lower features of a skeleton. It's Class 1B. So what? Straight ahead. I'll blast them out of our way. Hearing this, Tetsu of Class 1B scoffed angrily. Humph. Let's see you try. Just so. Right. The skeleton-mouthed teammate activated his quirk. He took a step, the earth moving forward softening with it. Expanding until it engulfed Team Bakugo. In an instant, the running team were trapped. What the hell? What is this? Bakugo. We're sinking. Get the headband. Damn it. Team Bakugo thrashed as the softened ground pulled them lower. How is this even fair? Zero yelled, arms flailing as he tried to tape onto something solid only for the tape to sink with them. Bakugo, we're going under. Mina shrieked, acid hissing uselessly into the sludge. Kirishima grit his teeth. I can harden and climb. I can. No time. Bakugo snarled. Sparks crackled violently around his palms. I'm blowing us out. Wait if you explode us while we're sunk. Boom. The eruption sent mud and dirt spraying upward, the blast partially freeing them but sending the whole team tilting dangerously. They're open. Now. A Class 1B student roared. Several teams lunged. But right before they reached. Crack. A wave of ice swept across the battlefield at blinding speed. Todoroki. Every team rushing for Bakugo froze mid-charge, boots locked into place, ice creeping up their legs. Only Bakugo's team managed to escape, barely clearing the ice wave as Bakugo blasted them over it, landing rough but mobile. Todoroki. Bakugo screamed from across the field, teeth bared. Humph. Todoroki exhaled cold mist. This is a competition. Expect interference. Yuta blinked behind his goggles. As expected from the top 3, both of them are soaking up attention like magnets. Hatsume cackled. Oh, spicy. The powerhouses are clashing already. Suou, partner, what are we doing? Still waiting. Yuta shook his head. No. Time to move. He crouched slightly. Hatsume tightened her grip around his shoulders. Oh ho ho. Is it time for my gear to shine? Yuta sighed. Yes, Hatsume. Yes. Chapter 31 Cavalry Battle 2. Yes. Todoroki had frozen the lot of them. What better time to act than now? He steadied himself, flowed chakra through his limbs, eyes narrowing slightly, and kicked off the ground. Or tried to. Whoosh. The propulsor cuffs strapped to his calves ignited, shooting them forward in a sharp diagonal arc that left a trail of dust behind. Hoo-ha-ha! Hatsume screamed. They work perfectly. Damn! Yuta shot forward, eventually surpassing the team he had aimed at by a wide margin before pulling to a stop. Ha! Yuta took a second before he adjusted himself to the increase in speed. That was better than I thought. My babies are the best, aren't they? Can't argue with that. He thought, eyes shimmering slightly as he locked onto the next target. All right then. Hope you can hold breakfast. Are you kidding? Whoa. Yuta didn't wait for her to finish. He zipped towards the opposite side of the field, where 3 teams hung back, waiting for an opening to join the fray. 4 members, maybe 200 points total. Hold on. Wait, what are you? Oh wow. Yuta's legs entered rapid pace. Chakra flooded his muscles. The propulsion boots on his feet ignited. Whoosh, and the world turned into a smear of color. Wind roared in his ears. Hatsume shrieked with laughter on his back. This is amazing. 3 seconds. That's all it took. The Class 1B team didn't even register the movement until Yuta was already past them. One of them blinked. Wait, where did? Yuta's hand snatched the headband from their rider's forehead mid-sprint. Gone. Our headband go. They spun around. Yuta stood 20 meters away, the stolen headband dangling from his fingers. He didn't look at them. Instead adjusting his legs where the equipment lay. Yab. Much better than I thought. He tossed it to Hatsum. She caught it with a grin and immediately wrapped it around her arm alongside their own. One down. Hey! Give that back! The Class 1B team gave chase. Not far away, Team Midoriya, who had been targeting the same headband, came to a halt. Hey? That's... Midoriya was stunned. That speed. Seeing the second-place contestant with support gear, Ida's eyebrows narrowed. Isn't it a bit too exaggerated? Eureka shared similar feelings. Yuta spotted them in the distance. Slightly surprised, then flashed them a grin before blasting away. Dust, a 1B cavalry group and Hatsum's exhilarated voice was all that was left in their wake. Though this was only the beginning. 20 seconds later, he zipped past a team aiming for Todoroki, swiped their 121-point headband clean off before they realized someone had passed them. Hey, what? Our points. 2. Hatsum crowed, securing the second headband. This is going to be easier than I thought. Yuta thought, already scanning for the next target. Third one. Northwest corner. This team was smarter. The 2 consecutive shouts meant they'd seen him coming, and formed a defensive cluster appropriately. The rider's body turned a green, sadly texture as he raised both hands, shielded his head and ducked low. He was quickly protected by the other 3 members. Don't let him get the headband. One of them shouted. Got it. We're ready. Yuta stopped. 10 meters away. Stared at them through the goggles. Ready for what? Humph. Don't think you can. Whoosh. His figure disappeared, appearing right beside the guy before they could even blink. Ultimately, even Hatsum's gear couldn't match body flicker. The rider's voice cut midway as he felt a tug on his head. A second later, it was empty. No. Yes. Hatsum screamed in glee and soaked in the misfortune of her opponents. 3 headbands in under a minute. I knew I made the right choice. Keep going. The girl swept her goggles across the arena. Okay, next up Oh ho. Yuta followed her gaze. A 4-man cavalry team stood about 20 meters away. Monoma at the front. Suburba on the left. Kosei on the right. Sen as the base. All 4 of them staring at Yuta, in absolute silence. Monoma's smile twitched. His eye twitched. Every muscle in his face twitched. Nope, he whispered. Before Yuta could even process it. Run. Monoma slapped Sen's head like an emergency eject button. The entire team whirled around at once, nearly toppling as they accelerated to full retreat. Go. 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 I refuse to lose our headbands to that monster. Move faster, you fools. We're already at max speed. Sen cried. Suburba shouted back, Monoma, stop screaming in my ear. Do you want to face him or not? They zigzagged like prey animals, running past other teams as cover. Yuta blinked. Well, can't say I expected that. He turned, noticing that others were paying attention to them as well. Looks like others are catching on. There were also the 3 teams he stole headbands from coming his way. The second team they stole from, carrying a pretty girl with blonde hair and deer-like horns and a large boy with beast-like features like the Beast from the X-Men. Hey! Give us our points back. Guess, we'll need to pay attention to being hunted. He muttered before activating the support gear and blasting off. With more teams taking notice of them, gaining points grew harder by a significant margin. After all, Hatsum's gear meant fine precise turns were difficult. Plus the other participants had quirks, and defensive strategies of their own. But that difficulty only lasted until he used body flicker. 3 minutes in, the 4th team lost their headband. Then the 5th. The arena turned chaotic. What is that speed? He's coming over. Focus. Don't let him take off. The more he stole, the more the crowd screamed. The more the cameras locked onto him. The more Hatsum gleamed with pride. Yes. Yes. Film him. Film all of this. Look at my babies working. Within 9 minutes, 7 teams had lost a headband to Yuta. What is happening out there? Present Mick's voice cracked with disbelief. The stadium was roaring. On the field, chaos still reigned, but of a very different kind than anyone expected. Those teams with headbands left scrambled. Not toward Bakugo, but away from Yuta. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't believe what I'm seeing. Yuta Akutami and Mei Hatsum, the two-person team, have stolen 7 headbands in 9 minutes. The scoreboard updated in real time. Team Akutami, 9 headbands, estimated points, 1,850 plus. Aizawa leaned forward, eyes wide. On screen, the replay showed flashes of movement. His speed is absurd. Present Mike yelled. And that support course student's gear is giving him even more mobility. They're like a two-person hurricane. A speedy duo. It's 9 minutes in and they haven't had a headband stolen from them even once, while more than half the teams are hot on their tails. Please stay away. Please stay away. Hagakure pleaded as their team bolted. As one of the few teams left with a headband, they had long given up the battle for 10 million points and snatching from others. Now desperately trying to protect theirs. However, Doug. Everyone's expression changed as Hagakure dodged a tongue aiming for her headband. Ajui! You traitor! They turned to see Shoji rushing towards them at rapid speeds. His arms forming a fortress that shielded Mineta and Ajui so they could attack stealthily. Ribbit! I'm sorry, Toru. But our headband's been stolen and we need points. Shoji's dupliarms had formed a flesh fortress that was supposed to house the other two, preventing their headbands from getting stolen. Unfortunately, Ibara Shiozaka from Class 1B had stolen it by the 3rd minute with her vines, which had later gotten stolen from them by Yuta and Hatsum. Those two were nearly impossible to catch, leading to them having to change targets. Jiro's face changed. Run faster, Kota! Kota ran with all his might. An expression of pure panic marring his features. Sorry, girls. But not this time. Tongues and purple balls shot towards them one after another. Jiro's earphones jack blasted away as many as she could. However, it wasn't enough. Damn it! Kota's stuck. Seeing the purple ball on Kota's legs, Jiro's face turned grim. That moment was all that was needed for Ajui to take away the headband from Toru. We got it. Good work. Shoji uttered. Be careful. We aren't in the clear yet. Let's. Whoosh. A chilling breeze swept past all of them. Shoji's eyes turned upwards, only to see 2 pairs of googles flying over them. Pardon me. Hatsum grinned with an outstretched arm. I'll be taking that. The headband was grabbed before Ajui could reel it in. Yuta's body did a backflip in the air. We can fly. Hatsum screamed in delight. Briefly. No. Mineta screamed. We stole that fair and square. Another one stolen, folks. The speedy duo strikes again with another headband in hand. 8 teams are practically pointless now. Yuta landed on the earth, then blasted away just as the ground softened underneath him. Damn it! Someone keep him in place. The chasing teams roared. Ajui's tongue shot out and missed by a mile. Dozens of vines emerged in Yuta's path as he ran. He dodged. Sliding over, under, and running up a giant wall made of M like a parkour expert before sticking a hardcore landing. Damn! This is exhilarating. I'll say. Yuta agreed with Hatsum. His blood boiled and his spine tingled. Constantly dodging and weaving from multiple opponents for so long had caused sweat to accumulate all over. I'm exhausted. That was for sure. But this is so fun. The grin on his face was full-blown at this point. It felt like playing tag, and everyone else was it. Today was the 2nd time he had used his powers to the fullest ever since awakening in this world. But unlike the dangerous life-threatening battle with Overhaul, he loved every minute of it. The exhaustion didn't come from much muscle fatigue, but rather, continuously channeling chakra through his injured pathways that had healed somewhat but not fully recovered was hard. But there was no way he was going to stop now. The crowd admittedly loved the spectacle. Their roaring was practically through the roof at this point. Chapter 32 Cavalry Battle 3. The crowd admittedly loved the spectacle. Their roaring was practically through the roof at this point. Eraser. Tell me what you make of this kid. Present Mike leaned forward, still half yelling into the mic. Aizawa didn't answer immediately. His eyes tracked Yuta, the sharp pivots, the clip steps, the way he used the momentum of his gear without letting the gear control him. Not natural. Not random. Practiced. He's reading the entire field, Aizawa thought. His evasions aren't instinct, they're calculated. Choosing engagements, and somehow tracking dozens of threats at once. That's not normal for a first year. Kid's got good instincts. He's not just fast, Aizawa said flatly. He's processing the entire battlefield. That's what makes him rather hard to hit. Frankly, he's troublesome. That from him was extremely high praise. Present Mike whooped. You heard it from Eraserhead, folks. Troublesome. On the field. 2 explosions tore through the ice fog. Bakugo and Todoroki were locked in a vicious back and forth, their teams struggling to maintain balance as debris and steam mixed into a chaotic haze. Bakugo heard Present Mike's announcement and snarled. TCH. That bastard's taken almost everyone's points. He blasted upward, forcing Todoroki back. Don't let that freak even look at our headband. Todoroki's eyes flicked across the field, seeing Yuta pass like a streak of color. 8 headbands, and counting. A small frown tugged at his lip. If he's gathered that many, he shouldn't need the 10 million anymore, but for someone who threw away first place, we can never know. His eyes creaked under his fingers. No matter, we'll deal with it when it comes. He pulled back sharply as Bakugo dove at him again. In the distance, Team Midoriya dodged were running away from the battlefield. Only 4 teams left with headbands. This isn't good. Ida responded sharply, indeed. This will be difficult to handle if Akudamai targets us. My straight line speed is high, but my directional agility is unfortunately not on his level. He looked around. Many of the teams that had given up chasing Yuta, were now turning their sights toward them. Worse still, Ida. Others have set their sights on us. It's normal. We're one of the few with points left. Team Shinso on another end were experiencing the same problem. With the fierce battles so far, his teammates had already woken up, but none of them paid much heed to what happened and how their team was formed without their knowledge when their qualifications were currently on the line. Ojiro's expression was tense. They're closing in. Shinso's tired eyes swept the field. Keep moving. Don't stop. Aoyama whimpered. Monday-due, we are doomed. Not yet, Shinso muttered. Just a little longer. Wow, folks. To think the majority still with headbands are from Class 1A. Absolutely wild. Present Mike shouted. And we're down to the final 4 minutes. 5 teams hold headbands, 4 will advance, and everyone else is desperate. The next few minutes are gonna be insane. Don't stop moving. Bakugo bellowed, blasting aside a wall of ice. There's only 4 minutes left. Push through. Shiro and Ashido strained to keep balance. Kirishima hardened, bracing as Todoroki's eyes snaked toward their feet. This guy. Bakugo snarled. I'm gonna. Bakugo. Look. Shiro shouted, pointing. Bakugo snapped his head sideways. And froze. Todoroki also stiffened, eyes widening. Because. Every remaining team with a headband. Every team without one. Every desperate group in between. Was turning toward them. Bakugo's team. The 10 million points. They came like a tidal wave. Are you kidding me? Bakugo shrieked. They're coming back now. After running away the whole damn time. He blasted a pillar of fire upward in sheer frustration. Even Todoroki grimaced. Not at Bakugo. But at the impossible pressure converging on them from all sides. Of course. With Akudamai stealing everything else. We're the last easy target. His gaze sharpened. No, this is an opportunity. The swarm closed in hands reached quirks activated. Yaeorozu. Todoroki's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. On it. Momo's hands glowed, and from her arms materialized a massive insulation sheet, lightweight but dense. Everyone, get under now. In the distance, Yuta skidded to a halt on the far edge of the field, goggles glinting as he watched Todoroki's team huddle together. That formation. Momo's arms glowed. Insulation sheet. Yuta's Sharingan spun behind the dark lenses. They're going for a mass disable. He turned sharply. Hatsum. Yet. It's time. Her grin widened. Finally. You mean? The big finish? Yes. She slapped a switch on the jetpack strapped to her back. It hummed. Ready when you are, partner. Now. Hatsum launched off his back, jetpack roaring to life as she rocketed into the air. Todoroki's team huddled beneath the sheet just as Kaminari grinned like a maniac. Finally. My time to shine. Kaminari full power. Don't hold back. You got it. Electricity crackled across his body. Building. Surging. Indiscriminate shock, 1.3 million volts. Crackle boom. A blinding sphere of golden lightning exploded outward, engulfing every team within a 15-meter radius. Screams erupted. Bodies convulsed. Teams collapsed, unable to move, muscles locked from the sheer voltage. Even Bakugo's team caught at the edge felt the brunt of it. GHAA. Bakugo's arms spasmed, explosions misfiring. Can't move. Kirishima's hardening flickered. Mina and Zero collapsed under him. Their formation crumbled. Beneath the insulation sheet, Todoroki's team was untouched. Kaminari slumped forward, giving a dopey thumbs up. I did it. Good work, Todoroki said coldly. Momo immediately created metal rods from her arms. Todoroki grabbed them and slammed the tips into the ground. Ice surged from his right side. Spreading. Crawling. Freezing every stunned body in place. The entire battlefield turned white. Teams were locked mid-collapse, encased in frost. Todoroki exhaled cold mist. Now. He vaulted off Sato's shoulders, skating across the ice toward Bakugo's frozen team. Bakugo's eyes widened in fury but his body wouldn't respond. You bastard! Todoroki's hand reached out. Fingers closed around the 10 million point headband. And pulled. Got it. Go. He ordered. His cavalry obeyed instantly, sprinting away from the battlefield as every other trapped team struggled inside iced-over prisons. Present mic exploded into commentary. Incredible. Team Todoroki just took everything from Team Bakugo. An absolute turnaround at the last minute. The commentary fell into his ears. Damn you! Todoroki let out a breath at Bakugo's hateful roar. Finally. We did it! Sato yelled with excitement. 10 million is ours. Momo smiled in relief. Todoroki, that was her compliments of admiration for his plans had barely begun when a gust of wind blew past them. Tap. A hand tapped Todoroki's head. Time seemed to freeze. Todoroki turned sharply. Staring at him were two pitch-black goggles, a head of mousy red hair, and a slight smile of someone having the time of their life. Hello. Todoroki's hair stood on end. Before instinct caught up, heat exploded from Todoroki's left side raw, unrestrained flame bursting to life, aimed directly at the thief. A wave of torrential heat shot forward. Yuta, who saw everything in slow motion, tilted his head accordingly. The blast missed its mark. Yuta's fingers reached unabated, and fell upon both headbands the 10 million. And Todoroki's own 715-point band. Sorry, Yuta said. When did he? Yuta's feet touched the ice and he vanished. A crack split across the frozen ground as Todoroki, shocked by his own reflexive flames, halted the surge. His right side clenched, eyes erupting in panic to smother the heat he hadn't meant to use. Todoroki. Momo reacted. But it was too late. A blue and red streak flickered across the field. By the time Todoroki turned, Yuta was already 50 meters away, sliding effortlessly across the ice before. Whoosh! Hatsum descended from above, jetpack whining as she collided onto his back in a perfect landing. Woohoo! Nailed the entry! She crowed, pumping a fist in the air. The brief silence was followed by an erupting stadium. Present Mick's voice nearly shattered the arena. Unbelievable! Yuta Akutami has once again completely turned the match on its head. He has stolen every major headband on the field. At home. On Aiko's couch. Eri shot up from her seat. He got it! He got it! She shrieked, tiny fists bouncing excitedly. Aiko blinked in surprise, lips tugging into a small smile. Look at you, she murmured. You really like him that much, hey? Eri nodded rapidly without taking her eyes off the screen. Back on the field. The ice prison cracked apart. Bakoom! Bakugo detonated himself free in a rage-fueled explosion, roaring like a wild animal. Akutami-ni. That's not fair. Someone screamed from the frozen crowd. She flew. She was in the air. Is that even allowed? Midnight's voice boomed across the field, sultry and amused. Allowed? Of course it is. As long as her feet didn't touch the ground while airborne, there's no violation. She cracked her whip for emphasis. This is UA, darlings. Creativity is encouraged. Groans and protests rippled through the crowd. There it is. The ruling stance, and I can see why. That was the single most clutch play I've seen in sports festival history. Aizawa leaned back, exhaling slowly. That kid's a problem. A problem. He's a miracle. Same thing, Aizawa muttered. Todoroki broke out of his daze with the announcement, steam hissing as he suppressed the last unwanted branch of flame with a grim frown. His gaze locked on Yuta. Cold air spilled from his lungs in slow, controlled breaths. I see. It seems we all overlooked the single biggest problem of this competition. He didn't say more. Yuta, still carrying Hatsum high on his back, turned calmly toward the converging groups. Hundreds of eyes were locked on him, and Hatsum was practically grinning at the cameras. Hatsum Industries, baby. You saw it here first. Jetpacks. Propulsion gear. Grappling systems. Contact me for orders. Yuta sighed but didn't stop her. The cheers were loud. Louder than anything he'd expected. His chest felt tight but in a good way. This is what it feels like, hey. Victory. Recognition. He exhaled. Then. Boom. You think it's over? I'm taking that back. Chapter 33 Cavalry Battle 4. Boom. You think it's over? I'm taking that back. The ice-restraining Team Bakugo was blasted away. And out came a feral blonde, red eyes gleaming with violent intentions. Todoroki's eyes spread across the ground again, converging from another angle. His expression was cold but his eyes burned. Other teams were breaking free now, scrambling, desperate. Team Monoma, Team Tetsu, Team Shoji. Damn it! Why won't this ice break? Hagakure yelled in frustration. Here. Let me try. Jiro injected her earphone jacks into the ice. Sound waves shot out from her legs, shattering the ice. Slowly but surely, everyone faced their direction. Well, they don't look too happy. Yuta felt Hatsum tense on his back. Partner. Yet. I know. He crouched slightly, readying himself. Not over yet. Hatsum reached into her pouch and pulled out a cylindrical launcher, sleek, compact, spring-loaded. You sure about this? Do it. She grinned and began stuffing every headband they'd stolen except the 10 million into the launcher. 9 headbands. Compacted. Loaded. Hey! Is that allowed? What's he doing with the headbands? I thought the rules said you could only hide it in an open area. Even Midnight frowned, wondering what they were up to. Midoriya gulped. I don't like how this feels. Ida adjusted his glasses with trembling fingers. This is highly concerning. By now barely over 2 minutes remained for the cavalry battle. Bakugo snarled. Don't you dare! But Yuta raised a hand, high enough for everyone to see. It's been fun, everyone. The charging teams hesitated. Bakugo slowed just slightly. All eyes turned to Yuta. He adjusted his goggles. But the game's almost over. And I think I've had enough running around. Hatsum raised the launcher high. So now you all have 2 choices. Yuta's grin widened. 1. Try to catch us and win first place. Hatsum's finger hovered over the trigger. Or. Whoosh. She fired. The launcher exploded upward, sending all 9 headbands spiraling into the sky like confetti. They scattered, falling in different directions across the battlefield. Yuta smirked. Try and get as many as you can. He lifted the 10 million headband to his forehead. Pick your poison. Then promptly disappeared with Hatsum at extreme speeds. Silence. For 1 heartbeat. Then. Chaos. The headbands. Grab them. Forget him, get the points. Teams exploded into motion. Some dove for the falling headbands. Others hesitated, torn between chasing Yuta and securing a guaranteed spot. Bakugo snarled, fists smoking. That clever bastard. Todoroki's eyes narrowed. He split the field. Midoriya's team reacted instantly. Ida's engines roared as they shot toward the nearest falling headband. Just theirs wouldn't be enough to guarantee a spot. Their combined points weren't that high to begin with. Just like them, Shinso's team scrambled. Even the frozen teams were breaking free now, desperate to grab something. Present Mick's voice cracked with excitement. He just turned the entire battlefield into a free-for-all. With only 2 minutes left, everyone's scrambling for those headbands, but Yuta Akutami still holds the 10 million points. Aizawa's eyes gleamed. Tactically sound. He reduced the number of threats by giving them an alternative target. That's one way to put it. I call it genius. Boom. A loud explosion resounded in the chaos. Everyone turned, only to see Bakugo had taken to the skies. Those headbands are mine. He shot towards the nearest one. Damn it. He's not even letting them fall. Todoroki's face changed. Yaoyorozu. Right. There was no need for words. In their team, she was the only one who could retrieve the headbands before they landed. Raising her hand, a long pole emerged, stretching forward until a headband was hooked. The arena once again devolved into a war zone as everyone struggled for points. Gotcha. Bakugo caught too. Then was caught by Shiro's tape, pulling him back to their team to prevent him from touching the ground. Damn. I have to say I didn't see this coming. Shiro exclaimed as he shot out his elbow tape. I know, right? Who would have thought? Shut it, idiots. Talk about that bastard and I'll kill you. Hey. Take it easy. We haven't even said anything. Yuta exhaled, watching the madness unfold. Hatsum cackled on his back. You're insane. I love it. 2 minutes left, Yuta muttered. Think we can last? With my babies? Obviously. Alright then, let's finish this. There would always be those who would chase them regardless. However, that number had significantly reduced. Those who had headbands were now under siege from others and didn't have the time to spare with him. Those who tried to chase after them gave up as the seconds passed. Bakugo and Todoroki were still coming, but ultimately gave up after their headbands were stolen once by Monoma and Tetsu's teams respectively. Damn it! Bakugo roared, as Monoma's squad made off with one of their stolen headbands. Get back here, you copy bastard! Monoma's laughter echoed across the field. Ahahaha! Class 1A's arrogance is their downfall. Did you really think you could? Wham! Tetsu's team slammed into them from the side, ripping the headband straight from Monoma's grasp. What? No. Thanks for the assist, classmate. No hard feelings. Tetsu bellowed, as he held the headband high. Just then, a tongue shot over. He ducked just in time. It's gonna take a lot more than that too. Hey there! Someone called out. What? The moment he replied, his face went dull. I'll be taking that. Shinso swooped in with a grab. The frenzy intensified elsewhere. Team Midoriya had managed to snag 2 headbands, their original and one they'd stolen mid-air with Tokoyama's dark shadow. We've got enough. Uraraka shouted. Just hold on. Agreed. Eden's engines flared as they weaved between attacking teams. But then. Not so fast, Midoriya. Hagakure charged forward. Hand those over. No way. 1 minute remaining. The crowd was screaming. Folks, this is absolute madness. Headbands are changing hands every second. No one knows who's gonna make it through. 40 seconds left, people. Now 20. Bakugo's head snapped toward Yuta. One last time. I could make it. His hands sparked. If I blast myself hard enough. Bakugo, no. Kirishima shouted. We don't have time, we'll fall apart. Bakugo snarled. But he stayed. Because Kirishima was right. One wrong move and they'd lose everything. That bastard had been tricky so far. He could bet on a lot of things impulsively, but not this. Todoroki had the same thought. His ice could reach. His fire could propel him. But if I go, we leave ourselves open. He exhaled frost. And stayed. 10 seconds. 9. 8. The countdown echoed across the stadium. Teams made their final grabs. 7. Midoriya's team secured a second headband after losing one. 6. Shinso's team stole one from Hagakure after losing theirs. 5. Bakugo and Todoroki both tightened their grips on their halls. 4. Yuta stood perfectly still. 3. Hatsum raised her arms triumphantly. 2. The field held its breath. 1. Bzzzzzzzzzt. The buzzer blared. Time's up. Midnight cracked her whip. The cavalry battle is over. The crowd erupted in screams, cheers, and an applause that shook the entire stadium. What a battle! What an absolute spectacle! Aizawa exhaled slowly. It's over. Now let's see the results right away. The scoreboard flickered. Then displayed. Final rankings. First place, Team Akudamai 10,0000000 points. Second place, Team Todoroki 1,275 points. Third place, Team Bakugo 1,095 points. Fourth place, Team Midoriya 805 points. There you have it. With a lot of exciting performances, Yuta Akudamai and Mei Hatsum take first place with an overwhelming lead. The arena exploded with noise. Hatsum threw her arms up, cackling maniacally. My babies did it. Hatsum Industries for the win. Yuta exhaled, finally letting himself relax. We did it. Across the field, Bakugo stood frozen, fists trembling. Third place. Kirishima patted his shoulder. Hey, man. We made it through. Third place. Bakugo roared, explosions crackling. I was supposed to win. Siro whistled. Not sure he feels that way. Todoroki stared at the scoreboard, expression unreadable. Second place. Honestly. That was the most intense thing I've ever experienced. Sato said, wiping the sweat off him. Indeed. Momo nodded. It felt like we were skating on thin ice. Todoroki didn't join the conversation. His eyes were fixed on Yuta with an unreadable intensity. Midoriya collapsed to his knees, relief flooding through him. We made it. Fourth place. Yurika cheered, tears in her eyes. We're through. Ida nodded firmly. Well done, everyone. Tokoyami nodded. Indeed. The other teams, those who didn't make it, stood in stunned silence. Shinso's team had placed fifth. Just one spot away. Ojiro looked devastated. Aoyama was crying. Shinso's expression was unreadable, but his fists were clenched. So close. Midnight's voice rang out. Congratulations to the top 4 teams. You've earned your place in the final round. The crowd roared again. Akudamai residence. Eri was bouncing on the couch, eyes shining. He won. He won. Aiko leaned back, arms crossed, a small smile on her face. Yet. He did. She glanced at Eri. Guess we'll have to congratulate him when he gets home. Eri nodded enthusiastically. Yet. As the crowd continued to cheer, Yuta finally stepped down from his stance. Hatsum hopped off his back, still grinning ear to ear. That was the best, she said. Yet, Yuta agreed quietly. It was. He looked up at the scoreboard. First place. Not bad. Then his gaze shifted. To Bakugo, glaring at him from across the field. To Todoroki, watching him. To Midoriya, staring with a mix of awe and determination. Yuta exhaled. Round 3's gonna be rough. But for now. He let himself enjoy the moment. Chapter 34 Hosa Stakeout 1. Hosa felt strangely empty. Not abandoned, just quiet in the way cities get when everyone is inside watching the same thing. Steel shutters were halfway closed on most storefronts. The usual smell of grilled yakitori drifting from street stalls was missing. Traffic lights blinked over nearly vacant intersections. Even the pigeons seemed confused by how few people were around. Every few blocks, the silence broke, the roar of a crowd gathered around a shop with its TV pushed into the window. 10, maybe 15 people, workers on break, teenagers in uniform, old men with folded arms standing shoulder to shoulder to watch the broadcast. And he's still in first place. Present Mick's voice burst from the speakers, echoing down the street. Thud. 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 The sound of footsteps drew closer, though the watchers paid no heed. Eventually it stopped right behind them. It lingered for a few seconds, then continued on its way. Hey! Someone broke away from the excitement and turned around. In the distance, a silver-haired man in a strange attire walked away without stopping. His pace was unhurried, hands slipped into his pockets, eyes drifting across the unusually still cityscape. A delivery cyclist sped by him, muttering, "I'm gonna miss the next match, damn it." Across the road, a convenience store had a small crowd pressed against its glass door, watching the mounted TV inside replay Todoroki's ice wave at the tunnel. No one noticed the masked man pause at the curb. He tilted his head up at a giant billboard. The screen flickered to a shot of the cavalry battle standings Yuda's team at the top in massive bold letters. A small murmur rippled through the people watching below. "Did you see that kid's sprint? To think he beat the son of Endeavor. Oh please. The kid's just got a good teammate." The advantages support gear brings is exactly why they are usually restricted from being used. Doesn't really matter if you ask me. There's no way he's staying in general studies after this. He listened, absorbing every word, though his expression never changed. He seems to be doing quite well. His eyes turned elsewhere. Though my job seems to be harder than I expected. The silver-haired man contemplated with a hand on his chin. Hosa was large, and finding someone in it would be difficult beyond belief. However, it wasn't without hope. He had already thought of a plan before he was split from the main body. Maybe I should. Just then, a patrol car cruised slowly past the intersection slower than usual. The officers inside weren't even watching the road, they were glancing down at a dashboard tablet streaming the festival. One of them whispered, "Just another minute, the next event's about to start. Won't we get in trouble? What's there to fear? The heroes have this handled. Not much we can do anyway." The car drove away. The masked man nodded thoughtfully. "So they really are here. I just haven't seen them yet." He stepped off the curb and continued walking. Eventually turning down an alley. Just as he prepared to walk up the walls. "Hold it right there." His footsteps stopped. "Hey!" Turning, what came into view was a woman standing at the mouth of the alley, tall, tense, and already half-crouched in a ready stance. She looked like a mid-tier pro, navy blue jacket reinforced at the elbows, light armor along her shins, and a visor pushed up over sharp, focused eyes, and a communicator in her ears. Her hair was tied back in a tight loop that swung slightly with her breathing. "Step out slowly," she ordered. "Hands where I can see them." He blinked. "Me? Now." The masked man raised both hands slightly, palms open, and complied. "Is there a problem, officer?" he asked evenly. Her eyes narrowed, sweeping over him the white hair, the mask, the unusual clothing. "Doesn't match the description," she thought, frowning. A crackle came from her earpiece. "Mirage, report. Sector 7C clear." She pressed a finger to the device without taking her eyes off him. "Negative. False alarm. Moving to 7D next." "Copy." The woman Mirage let her guard stance relax slightly, though she didn't step back. "Apologies for the scare," she said, voice less sharp now. "We're conducting a search operation in this district. For your safety, I'd advise staying out of the alleys during this period." The masked man tilted his head slightly. "Search operation? That's all I can say." She clipped the baton back into place. "Head home. Or at least stay on the main roads." Without waiting for a response, she crouched low. Her legs compressed like springs, before launching her onto the nearest rooftop in a single bound. She landed with barely a sound, already moving to the next building. The masked man watched her disappear over the edge. Then exhaled slowly. "A hero? Searching for someone?" He glanced at the rooftop where she'd vanished. "Just like in canon. A search operation for Stain is probably ongoing right now. Ingenium is probably among them." His visible eye sharpened. "Which means my job is easier than I thought." If his appearance hadn't caused any butterfly effects, then this operation would end with Ingenium being the only one to come against the hero killer. The masked man looked up. He didn't need to find Stain. He just needed to find Ingenium. And to do that, "I'll need that communicator." The masked man crouched slightly. Chakra flooded his legs. And then, whoosh! He vanished. The alley returned to silence. Not far away, a billboard displaying the sports festival echoes with present mix voice. "And that wraps up the morning events. Now we'll take an hour break for lunch before we start the afternoon festivities. See ya then." Present Mike flipped off his mic. "Oi, Eraser. Lunch. Go by yourself, Aizawa muttered. I'm sleeping. Thousands had already begun vacating the arena to the carnival area outside the stadium. The participants on the other hand, took the backstage exit for staff and participants. So tired. Mina groaned as the students shuffled out of the arena. That was the most intense battle I've ever been in, Mineta muttered. For once, I agree with Mineta, Azui said. It was chaotic. Though you were quite amazing, Mina. Mina scratched her head sheepishly. Thanks. But Bakugo only let me join to deal with Todoroki's ice. We probably would have lost if not for Shiro and Bakugo during the final scramble. I wasn't much help, really. Yet. To think the whole cavalry battle would turn into a one-man show. Shiro smiled. Don't even mention it, Mineta huffed. That Yuta bastard turned everything into an all-out war and pitted everyone against each other while he took the biggest slice for himself. We couldn't even get any headbands as a result. Mineta, people were already against each other, Azui said flatly. It's the whole point of the contest. Plus, we already lost our headbands before he stole it. Don't pay him any attention. If anything, he's just sore that he didn't make it and someone from General Studies did. Shiro uttered with a smirk. Honestly, it was pretty cool. Hey! Mineta yelled at him angrily. My point stands. The only reason he could pull that off was because of all that support gear. If I had equipment like that, I could be just as cool as he was. It's not good to talk behind people's backs, Shoji said calmly. So what? Let him come face to face, I'm not scared of him. You do know I can hear you, right, short stack? Mineta stiffened. Uh-oh. Everyone turned to see Yuta a few paces behind them, having just emerged from the tunnel. Crimson hair, sharp blue eyes, and an athletic build wrapped in his UA gym uniform. His expression was neutral, but his gaze was fixed squarely on Mineta. Silence. Ribbit. You better apologize, Mineta. Azui urged. However, Mineta, being Mineta, did the opposite. Humph. I'll only apologize if I'm wrong. And I don't see it that way. He puffed up defensively. If anything, I sense a conspiracy going on. Yuta raised an eyebrow. What? Humph. Don't think I don't see it. If your quirk is so awesome, then how come you didn't make it into the hero course, hey? The way I see it, this is all just your conspiracy to act cool and replace one of us. The air went silent. Looking at Mineta, who looked like he had just solved Bigfoot, Mina slapped her forehead with exasperation. Hey? What's the matter? Silent because I just exposed your plans. Yuta shrugged in response. I'm not in the hero course despite my quirk, while you're in it despite your height. Life is full of contradictions. Mineta immediately combusted. What's that supposed to MMPH? Mina clamped a hand over his mouth before he could finish. Don't mind him, Azui said, her tone apologetic. That's how he usually is. Ribbit. Mina waved with a bright smile, still restraining Mineta with her other hand. Hi. Nice to see you again, Yuta. Guys, you remember him, right? Yes. From that unauthorized cafeteria incident, Ida said, adjusting his glasses. Congratulations on taking first place. Your performance exceeded expectations. Thanks. Yuta glanced at the group briefly, then nodded. I'll let you get to lunch. He walked past them without another word. Once he was out of earshot, Mina released Mineta. You idiot! Would you stop provoking our competitors? He gasped for air, then immediately puffed up again. Humph! He only threw those headbands away to avoid getting ganged up on. It wasn't some genius move. It was an effective strategy, though, Ida said thoughtfully. What do you think, Deku-kun? Eureka asked. Midoriya nodded, muttering under his breath. Indeed. He secured 9 headbands before taking the 10 million, then distributed the rest. His early speed showed that chasing him further would be unwise. With only 2 minutes left, no one was willing to take the risk of losing their own advancement just to go after him. He paused. Not even Kikin. Honestly, the strategy was sound. In that way, he excluded himself from being a target. His use of support gear also showed excellent planning. Plus his speed and general athletic ability. Everyone had their expressions grow serious. Either way, he'll be a difficult opponent for anyone to face. And if he keeps up this performance, Midoriya trailed off. He might just replace someone from the hero course. Chapter 35 Minata's Scheme. The hallway leading toward the cafeteria was loud with footsteps and chatter, but in Yuta's head, Mineta's words still echoed. A conspiracy? Seriously? He exhaled through his nose. Replace someone from the hero course, he muttered under his breath. If I wanted to act cool, I'd pick a theory that didn't sound like it came from the back of a cereal box. It wasn't even insulting, just dumb. So dumb it almost wrapped back around into being impressive. Well, it came from Mineta. Still. He wasn't blind. Mineta wasn't attacking out of malice. Well, maybe he was. However, it was most likely that the guy was terrified. Replace someone from the hero course. If anything, that fear came from what Shinso said 2 weeks ago, not from Yuta's actions. Behind all the jealousy and bravado, Mineta had one core motivation in life. Become cool, get girls. The hero course was his golden ticket. If someone from general studies suddenly looked better than him, of course he'd panic. In Yuta's view, however, he was simply overthinking. Sure, his performance at the sports festival was far from ideal, but if anyone was at risk of losing their spot, it wasn't Mineta. For all his flaws, the grape idiot's quirk had utility, range, mobility, area control. He was weak in comparison to the top students in Class 1A? Sure. But in the bigger picture, Hagakura's quirk was useless in combat. Koda talked to pigeons and half of 1B were somewhat average. Yuta sighed. From the looks of it, Mineta wasn't going anywhere. His situation, while weak, was far from hopeless, and Yuta felt like he would most likely replace Class 1B rather than 1A. How unfortunate. Either way, it didn't matter. Transferring to the hero course was still a distant possibility. And right now, he had bigger problems. Like the throbbing ache in his calves. Tch. He winced slightly as he walked. That burst of chakra during the cavalry battle, especially while his pathways were still healing, had been reckless. His body had barely healed only to be put to work once again. Need to be careful for the one-on-one matches. He shifted his weight, trying not to limp, and froze. Up ahead, standing near the path leading toward the main cafeteria building, was Todoroki Shoto. Arms crossed. Expression unreadable. Body angled in a way that made it very obvious he wasn't coincidentally standing there. Is he waiting for me? Yuta approached slowly. Todoroki's eyes tracked him the whole way, cold, sharp, giving off an intimidating vibe. Stopping just a bit short, Yuta's brows furrowed. Can I help you? You're strong. Todoroki spoke without preamble. And you've gotten ahead of me twice today. Todoroki exhaled, a thin cloud of cold mist drifting from the right side of his face. I won't pretend that doesn't bother me. Yuta blinked. Race and cavalry battle? Yeah, I guess. His tone wasn't angry. It wasn't hostile. It was simply honest. So, where exactly was this going? And during the cavalry battle, your last move caught me off guard. His eyes narrowed. I reacted on instinct. I didn't choose to. My body did. That means I was treating you as a threat. So much so that I broke a pledge I made to myself. Yuta raised a brow. Thanks. It wasn't a compliment. Todoroki's tone didn't change at all, making the deadpan sting even harder. If anything, it means I wasn't in control. That's unacceptable. Right. Classic Todoroki phrasing. You forced me to respect you, and I'm upset about that. This. Seriously. Yuta resisted the urge to smack his forehead. Do I look like Midoriya? I won't pretend that doesn't bother me either. He said, looking at his left hand. Truthfully, I never expected someone like you to come from general studies. Nevertheless, that doesn't change anything. I'm telling you this because when our match comes. Yuta blinked. You're assuming we'll fight? Todoroki paused. Yes. I am. It wasn't arrogance. It was statistical confidence. And honestly? Fair. Yuta rubbed the back of his neck. Go on. When our match comes, Todoroki said, voice lower, I won't let your unpredictability dictate the pace. I'm not going to repeat today's mistakes. A faint chill radiated from his right side, again barely noticeable, but deliberate. Like he was making a statement. Yuta caught the implication. This time, I'm taking you seriously from the start. He exhaled. Internally, he wasn't intimidated. Todoroki wasn't being aggressive. He was being Todoroki. Blunt. Awkward. Intense in a socially inconvenient way. Still, Yuta decided not to poke fun. The guy was clearly sorting out his pride or whatever family nonsense he had going on. Before Yuta could respond, the background noise shifted. From Todoroki's slight change in expression, he didn't even need to turn around to know what was happening. But he did anyway. Class 1A was gathered near the cafeteria entrance halfway through regrouping after the events of the day. Midoriya, Ida, Uraraka, Kaminari, Shoji, even Bakugo had shown up at some point, glancing over with his usual "I'm not looking but I'm totally looking" scowl. They were all staring. Some subtle. Some not. Kaminari nudged Shoji with his ebao. Dude. What's going on? Shoji can't you guess? A standoff between the top two. Uraraka gasped a little. A challenge between men. Ida chopped the air immediately. Uraraka. Please refrain from romanticizing a confrontation. Behind them, Class 1B students also trickled into view, pausing when they saw the two frontrunners. We will settle this in the arena, Todoroki said, lowering his voice. Then turned to head into the cafeteria to avoid a larger spectacle. I'll see you in the bracket. Yuta exhaled. I'm not cut out for this. Yuta walked through the cafeteria doors. Conversations didn't exactly stop but they slowed. Eyes tracked him, and whispers followed like a tide. That's him. First place. General Studies kid. Pretended not to hear, he joined the lunch line. The smell of grilled fish and miso soup filled the air, mixing with the buzz of 100 overlapping conversations. Somewhere near the windows, a group of support course students were arguing about gear regulations. At another table, business course kids were taking bets on the afternoon matches. Normal lunch hour chaos. Except every few seconds, someone would glance his way. Behind the counter, Lunch Rush worked with machine-like precision ladling curry, plating rice, sliding trays down the rail. When Yuta stepped forward, the man smiled. Well, well. If it isn't our star performer. That was some world-class maneuvering out there, young man. Speed, strategy, timing, you had it all. Thanks, Yuta said, accepting a bowl of rice. TCH. Move. Yuta didn't even have to turn to recognize the voice. Bakugo brushed past him, tray in hand, scowl carved into his face like it was permanent. You're clogging the damn line, Bakugo snapped. You're behind me, Yuta replied calmly. The line moves with me. Bakugo's eyelid twitched. A dangerous sign. Before he could explode verbally or literally, two very familiar figures chimed in behind him. Shiro nudged Kirishima. Bro, he's already mad. Yeah, Kirishima whispered back, loudly, this is like, peak Bakugo irritation. We should rate it. Solid 8 out of 10. 8? Nah, 9. He's got the vein popping. I will kill both of you, Bakugo snarled. Yuta walked away without looking back. He crossed the cafeteria to the space for general studies. There, his friends were waiting. Hana scooted her tray aside excitedly. Yuta. Over here. He walked over and sat down. Hey. Yuta. Hana's face lit up. You were incredible out there. Kimura nodded enthusiastically. Seriously. That was insane. Tanaka leaned back, arms crossed, but his grin gave him away. Yet. You made the rest of us look bad. Yuta shrugged. Don't exaggerate. It's no big deal. How'd you guys do? Hana's smile faltered. I didn't make it past the fall. Tanaka sighed. We both made it to the end, but at the bottom. Silence. Then Hana leaned forward, eyes narrowing. Okay. Explain. Explain what? Your quirk. You've been telling us for weeks that it's weak. And now suddenly you're outpacing the entire hero course. Kimura nodded. Yet. Were you lying to us? Yuta met their gazes evenly. No. I wasn't lying. Then how? The accident. They blinked. I was in the hospital for a few days, remember? Yuta continued. Let's just say I had a peculiar encounter with. Hold on. Did you fight a villain? Tanaka suddenly asked. Yuta paused. How did you? I guessed. It's been on my mind since you mentioned it. I mean, there are few things that are difficult to talk about. So. Guess so. I was hurt pretty bad enough to be on life support for several days. Good news is I think my quirk got stronger. I didn't know it could do that either. Hana frowned. That's convenient. It's the truth. Kimura exchanged a glance with Tanaka. So what, you're like a shonen protagonist now. Near-death experience gives you a power-up. Yuta's lips twitched. Something like that. They talked a bit more small things, jokes, deflections, but the atmosphere had shifted. Yuta stood, lifting his tray. Hold on a minute, guys. I'm grabbing a drink. Get me one too. Hana chirped. Sure. As Yuta walked away, the three of them sat in silence. He's different now, Hana said quietly. Yeah, Kimura agreed. Tanaka didn't say anything. Yuta headed toward the drink counter on the far side of the cafeteria right past the hero course tables. Halfway there, voices drifted over. I'm telling you, it's totally a sports festival tradition. Kaminari was saying. Mineta nodded vigorously beside him. Yet. All the girls are supposed to wear cheerleader uniforms before the elimination rounds. I heard it from Aizawa-sensei directly. Excuse me. Yaio Rozua frowned. I never received any announcement about that. You don't have to believe us, Mineta said, adopting the smuggest voice possible. I just figured the vice rep should know before she embarrasses the class. But hey, maybe class 1A wants to fall behind the others. Yurika looked uncertain. Jiro grimaced. Hagakure tilted her head. Yuta stopped at the drink machine. He didn't even need plot knowledge for this one. The scheme was obvious from a mile away. He filled Hana's cup first. Then his own. All right. Let's get some payback. Chapter 36 Matchups. The hour break passed faster than anyone expected. One moment the cafeteria buzzed with leftover adrenaline, gossip, and half-finished meals. And the next, present mix voice thundered across every speaker in the stadium. Hello everyone! The crowd erupted as the giant screens lit up, cameras panning across the arena. Hope you're done digesting, because lunch is over. And you know what that means, it's time to reveal the final game of the UA Sports Festival. Students poured out of their respective tunnels, the echo of footsteps mixing with the roar of the audience. From the General Studies tunnel, Yuta stepped into the light with his hands casually in his pockets, and a satisfied smile. Up in one of the mid-level seating blocks, Hana leaned forward against the railing. He seems to be in a good mood. Back on the field, everyone else began to appear. Class 1A and 1B filtered out, some energized, some pale with nerves. Bakugo in particular, stomped forward like the arena owed him money. Todoroki walked with his usual ice-cold indifference. Ida marched in as serious as ever. And then, two figures stumbled out from the Class 1A tunnel. Kaminari and Mineta. Both looked like they'd been through a blender. Kaminari's hair was more disheveled than usual, and a faint red handprint was visible on his cheek. Mineta had a black eye forming. They glared at Yuta from across the field. Pure, unfiltered resentment. Yuta didn't even glance their way. Several students noticed. What happened to them? Siro whispered. Kirishima squinted. They look like they got jumped. Jiro smirked knowingly. They did. Mina giggled. By us. What? Long story, Jiro said, cracking her knuckles with a satisfied grin. Let's just say they tried to pull something stupid, and someone tipped us off. Hagakure's invisible form practically radiated smugness. Best lunch break ever. Across the field, Mineta muttered under his breath, eyes locked on Yuta. Snitch. Kaminari groaned. Dude, let it go. We're alive. Barely. I'm not letting it go, Mineta hissed. That guy. All right, listeners. Present mix voice boomed again, cutting through the chatter. Let's get this show on the road. The students assembled in the center of the field. Midnight stood at the front, whip coiled in one hand, microphone in the other. Her grin was sharp and theatrical. Welcome back, everyone. The crowd roared. She let the noise build for a moment, then raised a hand. Silence fell almost immediately. Now then, she purred, I'm sure you're all eager to know what's next. The elimination tournament. One-on-one battles. Winner advances, loser goes home. Cheers exploded from the stands. But Midnight's voice cut through the noise like a blade. Before we get to that, we have a little announcement. The tone shift was immediate. Students stiffened. The crowd leaned forward. As you all know, Midnight continued, the top 4 teams from the cavalry battle were supposed to advance to the finals. 16 people total. She paused. However, the word hung in the air. One team, Team Akudamai, only had 2 members. Gasps rippled through the crowd. On the field, students who hadn't made it through the cavalry battle suddenly perked up. Shinso's eyes narrowed. Tetsu straightened. Hagakure's gloves clenched. That's right. Present Mix voice exploded from the speakers. That means there are 2 open slots in the finals bracket. The students who'd been eliminated erupted. Wait, seriously? We still have a chance? No way. Midnight cracked her whip, and silence returned. Now, she said, grinning. Don't get too excited just yet. We're not just giving away spots. Her eyes gleamed. You're going to earn them. The giant screen behind her flickered to life. Recreational Games Top 2 Advance. For the next 10 minutes, all students who did not qualify from the cavalry battle will participate in a series of recreational challenges. She gestured grandly. Obstacle sprints. Target accuracy. Endurance tests. Each game event awards points based on placement. At the end, the top 2 scorers advance to the finals. The non-qualifiers exploded with renewed energy. Hell yeah! I'm not out yet. Let's go. Even Shinso, normally stoic, allowed himself a faint smirk. A second chance. Midnight turned toward the students who had already qualified. As for the rest of you, she said, you're welcome to participate in the recreational games if you wish. However, she paused for effect. Your scores will not count toward advancement. You're already in. This is purely for fun. A few students exchanged glances. Bakugo snorted. TCH. Waste of time. Todoroki's expression didn't change, but he stepped back slightly. Clearly opting out. Midoriya looked torn, glancing at Ida and Eureka. Should we? I think I'll sit this one out, Ida said, adjusting his glasses. Best to conserve energy for the finals. Eureka nodded. Yeah. Same. I guess. What about? Hey. Across the field, Yuta had already walked to the sidelines. He leaned against the wall near the tunnel entrance, arms crossed, watching. Not worth it. His legs carried a faint ache from this morning. The last thing he needed was to waste energy on games that didn't matter. Hatsum appeared beside him, grinning. Not participating. Nope. Smart. Me neither. Gotta save energy for marketing opportunities later. Yuta sighed. Right. That. She didn't seem to notice his tone. Oh. By the way, thanks for the assist earlier. First place looks great on a resume. You're welcome. Midnight raised her whip. All right. Non-qualifiers line up. 26 students scrambled. Shinso. Tetsu. Shiozaki. Ajui. Shoji. Mineta. Hagakure. Ojiro. Aoyama. Koda. Monoma. And more from Class 1B. First event Scavenger Hunt. Go. 10 minutes later. The recreational games blurred together in a frenzy of movement, quirks, and desperation. First was the scavenger hunt, then giant darts, endurance tests, ball bouncing races. By the third event, patterns emerged. Certain students kept appearing at the top of each leaderboard. Shiozaki. Mineta. Ajui. Shoji, Tetsu. The crowd was loving it. Go. 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 Come on, you can do it. Don't give up. From the sidelines, Yuta watched with narrowed eyes and a brewing suspicion. Mineta's doing better than I expected. Final event quirk relay. Present Mike announced. Use your quirk to complete the course. Fastest 10 get points. Eventually, the buzzer sounded. The games ended. The scoreboard flickered. Final recreational scores. 1 Ibarashi Ozaki 48 points. 2 Minoru Mineta 44 points. 3 Itsuya Kendo 39 points. 4 Tsuyu Asui 37 points. 5 Tetsu 35 points. The stadium screens froze for a moment as the numbers finalized. A second later, present mix voice boomed. And the two students advancing to the final bracket are Ibarashi Ozaki and Minoru Mineta. Give them a hand. The audience weren't stingy with their applause. On the field, Shiozaki bowed gracefully, hands clasped in prayer. Thank you, Lord, for this opportunity. Meanwhile, Mineta collapsed to his knees, gasping for air. I made it. Then he looked up. At the scoreboard. Second place. He'd earned his spot in the finals. A grin spread across his face. Hell yeah. Take that you guys. I'm better than all of you. Beside him, Tetsu stared at the scoreboard. Brew. Kendo scratched her cheek with a baffled smile. I mean, he worked for it. Tsuyu tilted her head. Ribbit, he really did do pretty well. Zero slowly lowered his drink. You sure the scoreboard isn't broken? Bakugo scoffed, arms crossed. TCH. Those stupid side games probably just fit his sticky grape crap. Hagakure tapped her gloves together nervously. I mean, he is motivated sometimes. It's just usually for all the wrong reasons. The disbelief didn't spread further than that. Class 1B barely reacted, they didn't know Mineta's track record. The crowd simply applauded the finalists. Only the people who had survived Mineta's presence on a daily basis were trying to understand what timeline they had just entered. From the sidelines, Yuda's eye twitched. He replayed the events mentally. Scavenger hunt Mineta was fast, slippery, and opportunistic. Giant darts his sticky balls actually worked as weighted anchors. Quirk relay he cheated the mobility test by ricocheting between walls like a purple rubber bullet. Objectively? He earned those points. Subjectively? Yuda exhaled through his nose. Congratulations to Ibarashi Ozaki and Minoru Mineta. You've earned your place in the finals. The crowd roared. The two students exhausted, battered, but victorious stood at the center of the arena. Midnight's grin widened. Now then, let's reveal the tournament bracket. The giant screen flickered. Names appeared. Shuffling. Randomizing. And then. Match 1, Yuda Akutami vs. Minoru Mineta. Match 2, Denki Kaminari vs. Ibarashi Ozaki. Match 3, Shoto Todoroki vs. Hanta Siro. Match 4, Tinya Ida vs. Mei Hatsum. Match 5, Fumikage Tokoyami vs. Mina Ashido. Match 6, Momo Yaio Rozua vs. Rikido Sato. Match 7, Katsuki Bakugo vs. Izuku Midoriya. Match 8, Ehiro Kirishima vs. Okako Uraraka. The crowd exploded. Yuda vs. Mineta. First match. This is gonna be good. Poor Mineta. On the field, Mineta's face went pale. He stared at the bracket. At his name. At Yuda's name. Right next to each other. Match 1. His legs trembled. No. Across the field, Yuda's faint smile widened. You know what? Never mind. Chapter 37 The first matchup. Mineta's eyes slowly turned toward him, and found Yuda already looking. No. Something in Mineta's expression folded in on itself. His shoulders sagged. Kaminari leaned toward Zero and whispered, is he, leaking? Or crying? Little of both, Zero murmured. Shut up, Mineta croaked. Shut up, shut up. He sank down until he was practically sitting on the floor. Why? Why is the universe like this? I finally get a miracle. This was supposed to be my comeback arc. Across the arena, other reactions unfolded. Midoriya stood frozen, staring at the bracket. Match 7, Katsuki Bakugo vs. Izuku Midoriya. His hands trembled slightly. Kakin. Here. In front of everyone. Uraraka noticed his expression. Deku? You okay? He didn't answer immediately. Yeah. I'm fine. A few paces away, Bakugo read the same board and let out a short, delighted scoff. Izuku Midoriya. TCH. Kirishima nudged him. Dude, you're fighting Midoriya. That's gonna be intense. Shut up. But Bakugo's grin widened slightly. Finally. Gonna crush that nerd in front of everyone. Show them he's still the same worthless Deku. Kirishima blinked. You seem weirdly excited about this. I said shut up. Todoroki glanced at his own matchup. Match 3, Shoto Todoroki vs. Hanta Zero. Zero. Tape quirk. Shouldn't be a problem. His eyes drifted to the other names on the board. Bakugo. Midoriya. Akudamai. If I keep winning. He exhaled frost. I'll face one of them eventually. Midnight cracked her whip, pulling everyone's attention back. Finalists. You have 10 minutes to prepare. Hydrate, stretch, panic, whatever you need to do. Cemento slumbered onto the field, a massive concrete pipe trailing behind him. Liquid cement thundered through them like a grey waterfall, rapidly forming the flat, sturdy combat stage. Meanwhile, Mineta sat hunched on a bench, staring at nothing. Why? Out of everyone. I get him? Did I offend a shrine? Kaminari slapped his back. Hey. Don't die before the match starts. Zero nodded encouragingly. Look, bro, it's not impossible. If you come up with a good strategy, you might be able to make a miracle happen. Mineta blinked quickly. You think so? Kaminari and Zero exchanged a look. Sure, they both said. Somehow, that was enough. Mineta wiped his eyes, squared his little shoulders, and stood up. You're right, he said to absolutely no one, because everyone else had already turned away. I'm still in this. Ashui's voice floated gently over. At least it'll be quick. Ribbit. Asui. Ashui tilted her head. To be fair, you were going to lose to someone eventually. Before anyone else could pour salt, Present Mix voice hit max volume. The stage is ready. Let's get this show rolling. The crowd roared. Yuta stepped into the tunnel with a light stretch. On the opposite side, Mineta bit his fingers anxiously, wringing his other hand around one of his own sticky spheres. Cementos created a reinforced chair near the sideline and sat down. Thank you, Cementos. Present Mike roared. A lot has happened, but we're finally here. All right, everyone. It's time. The finals you've all been waiting for. The crowd roared. First matchup. On the left, with an astounding performance and the aura of an underdog who has defied the odds to be here from General Studies, Yuta Akudamai. Yuta stepped into the light. His entrance was accompanied by cheers. From the General Studies section, Hana and Kimura were on their feet, shouting his name. Back home, Eri bounced on the couch. Go Yuta! Aiko smiled faintly, arms crossed. Don't lose. Yuta walked forward, a slight smile on his face. And on the other end? With the height of my coffee table and a narrow win to scrape into the finals, Minoru Mineta. Mineta stepped out. The reaction was mixed. A few weak cheers from his classmates. Eureka clapped politely. You can do it, Mineta. Stop cheering, Jiro muttered. He's toast. Mina grimaced. Yeah, this is gonna be rough. Mineta walked forward anyway. They stepped onto the arena. Midnight raised her whip. The rules are simple. Her voice cut through the noise. Force your opponent out of bounds. Immobilize them. Or make them surrender. All right. Bring on the battles and injuries. And worry not, for your safety we have recovery girl on standby. Present Mike added. Cementos sat forward slightly. I'll stop the match if things go too far. Midnight grinned. Ready. Yuta and Mineta locked eyes. This is it, Mineta thought. This is my chance. Humph. No one here believes I can win this. That means he'll probably underestimate me. That'll be my chance. Set. Then I'll prove to everyone in class. Everyone in the country. His hands reached for the balls on his head. That I'm actually cool. Start. The moment Present Mike shouted. Mineta yanked 2 sticky balls free, one in each hand, arm cocked back to throw. Whoosh. The figure in the distance blurred. Mineta's eyes widened. Wait. It was too late. All Mineta saw was a shoe enlarging in his vision. Bang! The kick slammed straight into his stomach. Mineta's breath exploded out of his lungs. His body lifted off the ground and flew like a soccer ball launched by a professional. He sailed backwards over the boundary line, and slammed into the far wall with a sickening thud. Then slid to the ground motionless. The stadium held its breath. Even present Mike was speechless for a solid 3 seconds. In the stands, Shoji crossed his arms just like we said. Kaminari nodded weakly. Yet he stood no chance. Can't blame him for trying though, Zero muttered. But man, that was brutal. Bakugo snorted. Pathetic. Present Mick's voice finally caught up. That's the match. Medical bots hurried over as Mineta groaned faintly, getting placed onto a stretcher. Cameras zoomed in. Fans erupted. At the center, Yuta let out a soft breath. That subtle, annoying feeling, the one telling him something about the situation was wrong, finally faded. The universe had finally achieved balance. All jokes aside though, he wasn't about to let Mineta's quirk create some ridiculous upset. This was fiction. And the number one rule of fictional battles: never underestimate a named character. Present Mike regained his momentum. What an explosive start to the finals. Yuta Akutami advances to round 2 with a decisive, and I mean decisive, victory. Mineta was wheeled off, mumbling weakly, I almost had him. Yuta watched as Miners was carried away, then turned to look at the next line of matchups. Match 1, Yuta Akutami vs. Minoru Mineta. Match 2, Denki Kaminari vs. Ibara Shiozaki. Match 3, Shoto Todoroki vs. Hanta Zero. Match 4, Tinya Ida vs. Mei Hatsum. Match 5, Fumi Kage Tokoyami vs. Mina Ashido. Match 6, Momo Yaeorozu vs. Rikido Sato. Match 7, Katsuki Bakugo vs. Izuku Midoriya. Match 8, Ehiro Kirishima vs. Okako Uraraka. It seems a lot has changed compared to canon. Mineta's appearance in the finals wasn't the only change. The next 3 matches remained untouched, albeit in a different order. However, from matches 6 to 8, the difference was clear. Especially Midoriya vs Bakugo. From the looks of it, Midoriya and Todoroki wouldn't have the chance to enact their fated match unless Bakugo capsized in the gutter. Which was honestly a possibility. After all, Midoriya was the protagonist. Kaminari vs Chiozaki. He looked at match 2 and turned back towards the tunnel. The winner of this match was obvious. HOSU City Rooftop, Sector 8A. He crouched at the building's edge, listening to the COMM chatter in his ear. Below, Mirage lay unconscious against the ventilation unit. That was closer than I'd like. She'd been mid-leap when he struck nerve cluster, side of the neck. She dropped like a puppet with cut strings. He'd seen the technique in a medical textbook during his hospital stay and memorized the diagram. The Sharingan had done the rest. First time using it on a person. Worked better than expected. He shifted her weight against the unit, made sure she wouldn't roll if she moved. 10 minutes, maybe 15. Plenty of time. The COMM crackled. Sector 9B clear. Moving to 9C. Copy. Ingenium, status. He froze. Sector 6D. No contact yet. Expanding sweep to 6E. There. He listened to Ingenium's voice, the rhythm, the breathing pattern, and pressed the COMM. His voice came out as Mirage's. Mirage here. Sector 7C is clear. Moving to 7D. No signs of target. Copy, Mirage. Stay alert. Target is highly dangerous. Understood. He released the button. That should buy time. One last glance at Mirage, then he pocketed the COMM and moved. Chapter 39, Bonus Chapter 38, The Hosa Stakeout 2. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Present Mick's voice blasted through the stadium speakers before the crowd even finished settling. The first match might have been short, and traumatizing for some, but hey! We survived. A wave of laughter rolled across the stands. Down on the competitors' platform, Midnight flicked her whip with a sharp crack, calling everyone to attention. Finalists for match 2 step forward. Fire spurted from the edges of the ring. Now let's get moving. From Class 1B's Hero Course, here to show that even pretty flowers have thorns, Ibara Shiozaki. Shiozaki stepped forward. Versus, the Hero Course's Sparky Killer, Denki Kaminari. Kaminari bounced lightly on his heels. Midnight raised her hand. Contestants, ready. Kaminari rolled his neck once, sparks prickling across his fingers. Let's make this quick, Shiozaki. How about after I win, we go on a date? Maybe? If you want. Shiozaki blinked at him. A date? Why? He let out a light grin. Because this match will probably be over in a second. Above them, Midnight raised her whip. Begin. Kaminari instantly planted his feet, sparks exploding across his frame. Hope you don't hate me for this. Indiscriminate discharge. A blinding burst of electricity erupted from him, 1.3 million volts flooding the arena in a tidal wave of lightning. The audience gasped. Dust swirled. And Shiozaki simply turned around. Her vines speared downward like roots seeking soil, piercing deep into the ground. She lifted her arm. The earth trembled. A massive dome of intertwined vines erupted upward, shielding her completely as Kaminari's attack crashed into it like a storm hitting a cliff. Ho-ho-hum. The lightning scattered harmlessly across the curved wall, dancing along the vines before grounding out into the earth. Present Mix's jaw dropped. Wait, hold on. The smoke cleared. Behind the vine wall, Shiozaki still had her back turned. Still praying. Meanwhile, Kaminari. Fully brain-dead, drooling idiot mode. Vines burst from beneath the arena floor, looping around his limbs and torso, lifting him gently into the air like a captured fish. Shiozaki finally turned. I apologize, Kaminari-san. But I cannot condone reckless violence. Please reflect upon your actions. Friendo. Kaminari responded by blowing a snot bubble. Present Mike threw his arms out wide. And that's another instant win. Shiozaki advances to round 3, and Class 1A loses their second finalist. The Class 1B section erupted. Yees. That's how it's done. Tetsu roared. Pony waved both hands. Go Ibara. Koz wiped away dramatic tears. Our beautiful angel wins again. Monoma jumped onto the railing. Haha, did everyone hear Kaminari say he'd end the match in a second? And he did. He just happened to be the one who didn't last a second. Thwack. A single karate chop from Kendo folded him like a lawn chair. He collapsed sideways, and she grabbed him before he could fall off. Kendo bowed apologetically to Class 1A. Sorry. He's enthusiastic and loud. The applause continued as Shiozaki bowed gracefully and exited the stage, her vines carrying Kaminari off gently. Yuta exhaled slowly. Well, that went exactly as expected. It was practically the same thing he remembered from the anime. Yuta glanced up toward the board displaying the next matches. Match 3, Shoto Todoroki vs. Hanta Siro. Match 4, Tinya Ida vs. Mei Hatsum. Todoroki vs. Siro. A massacre. Hatsum vs. Ida. A walking advertisement. He could already picture it. Siro frozen solid in 12 seconds. Ida spending 10 minutes being used as free marketing for baby carriers and rocket boots. So, I have nothing to do for the next 10 to 20 minutes. TCH. The irritated click left his lips. Hey Yuta. Earth to Yuta. A hand waved in front of his face. Hey. Did something happen? Hannah asked. Your focus isn't really on the battles. You seem to have something on your mind. Hey. When'd she start reading me this well? Yuta glanced back at her, then at the arena where Cementos was repairing the stage. Just waiting for something, he said finally. Waiting for what? To see if a plan worked out. Hannah tilted her head. What plan? Yuta's lips quirked slightly. Can't say. Not yet. His eyes focused back on the stage. 20 seconds later, his gaze wandered again. Yuta sighed, turning toward the exit. Yeah, I'm not sitting through those. He turned away from the arena and headed deeper into the hallway. Yuta, where are you going? Bored. Bored? But the fight's about to get good. The ice guy from the hero course is up next. Aren't you going to see what he can do? You'll have to fight him if you win the next round, Tanaka said. Well, I already know what he can do. Yuta shrugged. Several matches before his turn. Might as well use the time for something useful. The noise of the stadium dulling behind him with every stride. Well, no rushing memories means it's still alive. That could be good, or bad depending on how he looked at it. The sounds of the arena faded completely as he rounded the corner. His footsteps echoed in the empty corridor. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then, HOSU, Japan. Strike the vagus nerve cluster just right, and the body's own wiring does the rest. Blood pressure drops and heart rate plummets. Mirage had fallen just as Yuta expected. The Sharingan made it easy to accomplish. What he hadn't expected was how quickly she'd start waking up. A head tilting 5 degrees. Weight shifting off-center. Pressure easing where it once was would lead to the difference between 10 minutes of unconsciousness and 5. Mirage lay where he'd left her, propped against the ventilation unit. Below, the city hummed. Traffic. Distant voices. Present mix commentary echoing from a storefront TV. 4 minutes. Her eyelid twitched. 5 minutes. Her eyes opened. Blue sky. Too bright. Rooftop. The alley. The masked man, the strike. Her hand shot to her neck. Tender. Bastard got me. She sat up fast. Dizziness hit, but she pushed through. Her hand went to her ear. Empty. Shit. He either wanted her silent, or he was using her voice right now. She stood, bracing against the ventilation unit. Need to find someone. Now. She vaulted to the next building. Her head throbbed, but she kept moving. 2 blocks over there. Red and white costume. Torque. Torque. She landed beside him. He spun, reaching for his bat and then stopped. Miss Mirage. My comm's been stolen. Alert everyone. Now. What? Chapter 39 The Hero Killer 1. Ingenium HOSU, Sector 6E. Tensei Ida's engines hummed at low idle as he moved through the backstreets, checking every shadow and fire escape. Hours of searching. Dozens of blocks covered. Still nothing. He has to be here somewhere. It had been 3 hours since the operation to find the hero killer began. Unfortunately, 3 hours in and they had nothing to show for it. Ingenium here. Sector 6E clear. Moving to 6F. All units, sound off with status updates. He tapped his comms. Skywing, Sector 5C. Nothing to report. Mirage, Sector 7D. All clear. Enigma, Sector 4A. Clear. Torque, Sector 7B. No wait. Tensei slowed. Torque. Ingenium, this is Torque. Priority alert, Mirage is with me right now. She was attacked and her COMM was stolen approximately 6-7 minutes ago. Tensei stopped. What? Confirm Mirage is physically with you right now. Affirmative. She's right here. A cold feeling settled in his gut. 7 minutes ago. They'd been reporting every 2 minutes. Protocol. Which means. Then who the hell has been responding on her channel for the last 7 minutes? Silence on the line. Complete silence. They're all realizing it. Someone had been in their comms. Listening to everything. Ah. Just then, a new unfamiliar voice came through the line with a sigh of disappointment. Well, that sucks. Tensei hit his COMM. Who is this? Identify. Crunch. Plastic and circuitry crushed. Static. Nothing. Tensei hit the COMM again. All units, this is Ingenium. Emergency protocol, cease operations immediately. Unknown hostile infiltrated our communications. Do not trust any orders unless visually confirmed. Regroup at rally point Bravo. Now. Responses came in quick. Copy. En route. Understood. Tensei leaped toward the rally point, engines flaring. This isn't good. An infiltrator. In their network. For at least 5 minutes. What did we say? What positions did we give away? And worse, was Stain working alone? Or was this someone else? He crossed another rooftop, engines kicking as he cleared the alley between buildings. Then, he felt it. Right then and there, a heavy, oppressive feeling filled with the intent to kill. Danger! His instincts screamed. Thud! His boots hit the next rooftop hard, turning toward the alley below. Dark. Narrow. Empty. Except it wasn't. It's him. Tensei's dropped into the alley below. It was barely wide enough for two people side by side. Trash bags lined one wall. A rusted fire escape clung to the other. 30 meters ahead, the passage bent sharply left. Tensei slowed as he approached the corner. Standing at the center was a man wrapped in tattered red cloth and dark, patchwork armor. Bandages covered most of his face, leaving only his eyes visible. It's you. It was the same description given by the victims. Hero killer. Tensei's fists clenched. You're under arrest. Drop your weapons, Ensarin. Whoosh. The blade came before he could finish. Shit. Tensei jerked sideways. The knife grazed his shoulder plate, sparking off the reinforced material before clattering against the wall. Turning his gaze, Stain was already pivoting for another strike, using the narrow alley to close in before Tensei could accelerate. Ingenium fired his engines, leaping backward as a blade slashed past the area he once stood. Very well. I'll have to take you in by force. Stain didn't respond. Ingenium landed on his feet, engines thrumming with energy. Recipro. Tensei's dodged as a second knife sliced past his ribs. He barely stabilized himself after cancelling his recipro when he was forced to block the third with his gauntlet. He's faster than the reports. Tensei skidded back, engines whining as he forced space between them. His gauntlet stung from the impact. Stain advanced without a word. Tensei kicked his engines again, blasting sideways to reset the distance. The instant his boots touched down, Stain was already in front of him. What? Squelch! Steel punched into Tensei's abdomen, just under the reinforced panel. A hot bloom spread across his side, blood seeping out. Ugh! Tensei staggered, grabbing the attacker's wrist on instinct. Stain twisted free with almost casual efficiency, stepping back just far enough that the blade slid cleanly out. It had only been 10 seconds at most. Thud! Ingenium retreated while clutching his wounded side. Eyes never leaving the opponent. Stain watched him quietly, head tilting as if assessing a malfunctioning machine. You heroes, he said. The voice was low, and sounded somewhat annoyed. Always louder than you are competent. He dragged the flat of the stained blade across his bandages, then lifted it toward his face. This is Ingenium. Code Red, I found. The blood touched the hero killer's tongue. And for Ingenium, everything stopped. Tensei's knees buckled instantly, the weight of his own body crashing down on him as if gravity had doubled. RRGH. His fingers spasmed. His engines sputtered out, coughing blue sparks before dying entirely. The pain in his abdomen flared white-hot, but he couldn't move a muscle. Paralysis. Struggling won't work. The sound of footsteps fell into his ears, until he could see the hero killer's feet right in front of his face. A weak type. I suppose that suits your reputation. He flicked the blade, scattering droplets of red against the alley walk. How pathetic. Tensei gritted his teeth. Pathetic. Your earlier statements to take me in by force. Without the ability to back it up. Coming alone against me. Was it arrogance or pride? Veins appeared on his forehead. This has nothing to do with pride, criminal scum. You will pay for the things you've. Ingenium stiffened. A wave of cold killing intent slammed into him, halting his breath. This. What is this? Stain's eyes grew cold. The turbo hero Ingenium. So easily scared against said criminal scum. How disappointing. Your engines. Your speed. Your name. All wasted. Tensei's vision blurred. Not from blood loss fear. You don't get the right to say that. I think I do. Heroes like you, cling to a title without embodying the ideal. You wear the symbol but don't bear the burden. His eyes narrowed, raising his katana. You disgust me. His eyes settled on the lower waist. He would reclaim the title hero from this fraud. Tensei gritted his teeth and pushed. Unfortunately, his body refused to obey him. Move. Please, move. Stain raised the blade. Ting. Something sharp cut the air. Stain jerked sideways, instincts reacting before thought. He twisted, batting it aside with the flat of his sword while ripping a throwing knife from his belt and hurling it upward in one motion. Clang! The knife spun through the air, caught mid-flight by a gloved hand. He dodged that. Hey! More shot towards him. Stain leaped backwards, weapons embedding into his previous position. A figure dropped into the alley from above, landing between Stain and Ingenium with a quiet thud. Black clothing. Silver hair. Dark mask covering the lower half of his face. Phew! That was a close call. The figure spun the knife and tossed it aside. It clattered against the pavement. I almost didn't make it. Ingenium's eyes widened. Someone had come to save him? Is he a pro? He examined the look. There was a green vest over dark clothing, fingerless gloves, and combat boots. And weapons? Are those kitchen knives? His thoughts shifted. Forget that. His costume doesn't really look like one of a pro's. Plus I've never seen or heard of someone like him before. Meaning he's either a unknown pro or you. He called out with difficulty. Hey! I don't know who you are, but you can't be here. It's too dangerous. Tensei's eyes turned to Stain. He can paralyze you with a single cut. Don't attack him. He only wants me. Save yourself. Stain's eyes narrowed. Self-sacrifice. He snorted, reassessing this false hero. At least he's not that far gone. Leaving him alive to spread the word will be good enough. The new arrival didn't move. Didn't you hear me? Go and get help. Don't worry about me. Thanks, but I'm not here for you. The masked man uttered without looking back. Hey! Tensei was stunned. Wasn't he here too? Hello Stain. Ignoring Ingenium, the masked man clasped his fists together, focusing on the hero killer. I've been dying to meet you.
Thanks for listening.